Yes, guys, you know what time it is. It's your boy David at the Irish Hotspur, Ireland's #1 Spurs fan, Ireland's biggest legend, bringing you the pre-match build-up for Spurs as we face Leicester in the Premier League in a game that was initially due to be played in December, but was postponed because of a COVID outbreak in the Foxes camp. By the way, guys, get the horses ready, get them ready. We are going fox hunting today. Let's have it. It is fucking game day. Come on. And we are, of course, joined by co-host Jack Kanicki, Sean from Spurs Talk Show, and the Irish Hotspur. And we will be joined by Mr. Kiriakou as well. But first of all, Jacko, how are you, my man?
Doing really well, Dave. It's game day. Not as nervous as I usually kind of, am as well. Usually I kind of, use this pre-match build-up, use the pre-match pump-up and everything to kind of get myself into that delusional state where I just expect everything. I feel like I'm already doing it already, Dave. It's almost like I don't need the pre-match build-up. I'm already in that, state of delusion. I'm looking forward to it. Not as nervous as I normally would be, actually having a good day so far. And it's game day, like Sean's about to say as well.
Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it, Jacko. Shani, my man, how are you keeping?
I'm always good when it's game day. How are you guys? You good? Awesome.
Yeah. Buzzing. Absolutely buzzing, my man. I mean, look, I missed Tottenham over the weekend. You know what I mean? It was a very dull weekend without it. So I did miss Tottenham. And look, let's bring in the one and only Danny Kiriakou. Danny, my man, how are you keeping, brother?
I'm really good, Dave. How's everyone? How's everyone doing?
Buzzing.
Doing well.
Absolutely buzzing.
Yeah,
ready
I'm looking
to go
forward
fox
to it.
hunting, lad?
I am. Oh, Dave, just to say, I was watching. I've watched about half an hour of that stream you told me you showed me the other night. Right, it was so funny, mate. Yeah, it was so funny the way you got onto them. It was brilliant.
Oh yeah, I ripped them apart, didn't I? The one on football.
You ripped them apart.
Yeah, absolutely destroyed them. The whole panel. That's
everyone needs to go watch that.
That's when I'm at my best. But look, guys, we will absolutely get into it. So we will. Let's see what Irish Hotspur army we have with us before we get into it and tell everybody everything they need to know. We have Killian Kenny says, big up David Harris. I'm pumped up for Spurs and Leicester today. Come on, you Spurs. Let's win 6-1 today. Kane to score a hat-trick. Absolutely love it,
Legend.
Killian. Unless you have a contact with Harry Kane, I don't, my man, because I haven't seen his hair yet. The barber hasn't texted me. Alfie Goslin says, big up, guys. Hope all is well. I think 3-1 Tottenham. Lucas to score and Kane to score too. Come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Flat Cap Army. Come on, you Harris Army. Big up,
Love
Alfie. Kais is in the house. He says, big up, guys. Who would like to start beside Lucas and please score a hat-trick for David Kane? No, look, Kane will. I have no doubts Kane will score today. He scores more against Leicester than he does any other team in England. So he's going to be banging them in today. I have that feeling. I was explaining to Jack last night, like you can have an absolute shocker, but there's certain teams you play against, that ball will just fall to you and, present you with a golden goose to get the goal 100%. And we will get into it a bit about the lineup, guys.
Big
Derek
up,
just in the building. Big up, David and Jack. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Derek. I hope you're keeping
Love it.
man. We have Cody Mack in the house. Big up, Cody. Never had so much fun making fun of Gooners on Twitter as I have this week. Hashtag keep running. Yeah, it's been a very nice week, to be honest with you. Absolutely love it. From Gunners to Runners, you gotta love it. Moondog says afternoon. Big up, Moondog. I hope you're keeping well, my man. We also have Catman Jess. Big up the Harris Flat Cap Army. Big up, Catman. KVP's in the building. He says, guys, big up KVP. Or KPV. I hope you're keeping well, my man. We also have Joseph. Let's go, David and the gang. Nothing less than 3 points today. Please, Spurs. Don't worry, my man. Be ready. They're coming. We have Harry says, big up the Irish. Big yourself up. Big yourself up. We also have Niall Smith. Hey, lads, looking forward to the show. As always, do you lads think we are the unnamed Premier League club in for Diego Carlos, the centre-back, I believe? Is this the guy that I think who West Ham maybe are looking at getting in?
Newcastle,
I think he's going to Newcastle. I think there's like some news that he's going to Newcastle, but he's that guy who had that great season at Sevilla, Dave, when they went to that Europa League final and they won it, and he was alongside Koundé. So he's that guy who partnered Koundé that season.
I don't want him.
So. But yeah, I think he's supposed to be going to Newcastle. I think he's on personal terms there or something.
He's one of those players he gives away penalties in the box quite often. Like he's a bit clumsy. He's a good defender, but he's like a better version of Aurier in a sense of defensively. Like he could be really good defensively, but yeah, he gives away clumsy mistakes. Like no thanks. No thanks.
People want Aurier back. Get him in.
That man just says, "Big up, David. You are and always will be the GOAT. No one pumps me up for the Spurs match like you, bro. Wow, man, I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, man.
Big up, Jeff.
Anthony Gray says, anyone know if the Kane COVID rumors were true yesterday or just a rumor mill going overtime? Be good to have Dyer back. I think we'll win. Conte seems focused on the league to be top 4, methinks. Look, when it comes to Kane, I mean, Kane doesn't use the peasants entrance. He has his own entrance because he's just world class. So I can confirm he actually was in training yesterday. He just doesn't use the front entrance. Kane has his own entrance, my man. But big up, Anthony. So Kane should be fit. Kenneth, Tottenham Hotspur, my man. I hope you're keeping well. Long time no see. It's good to see you. He says, up the Spurs. All the best from Stavanger, Norway. You gotta love it. You gotta absolutely love it.
Absolutely love it. Big up, Kenneth. The Tottenham Hotspur. I think he likes to be called the Tottenham Hotspur. Kenneth, big yourself up. Good to see you, my man. And it's also good to see you back. You know, I remember him being here for, I think, a few pre-match pump-ups ago, Dave. So it's good to have you back, Kenneth. Big
Kenneth does that. He's busy. He's busy. And then as soon as he gets a chance, he pops back in. Big up, Kenneth. You got to love it. We have Tottenham 943. Big up on. We also have Dan N. Afternoon game plus no morning meetings. Finally being able to watch a match build up this season. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Jack, Dave, and Sean. Big yourself up, Dan. Appreciate you tuning in, my man. Ken, the long shot. Big up, lads. Hoping for a good win today. Need to pick me up after the lack of the North London derby. I think we all need it, my man. I do think we all need it. And don't worry, it is coming. Wembley 1. Just been listening to Talk Sport and Tim Vickery. A Spurs fan lauding how great Watford's scout system is in South America. Watford, what's the betting? We don't have anyone scouting down there. Yeah, look, we are supposed to be doing an overhaul of the scouting network. We actually signed a ex-Chelsea scout today, believe it or not. So, look, it's going to take time. With overhauling it, you know, they're overhauling the whole network. So it's going to take time.
Yeah.
And I think they realize that maybe it might just be a little bit outdated and they're trying to fix it. Mark Cousins says, afternoon all, come on, you Spurs. Big up, Mark. We also have John Stokes everywhere we go. Afternoon, David, Jack, Sean, and Danny. Big yourself up, my man. We have Big Boss Man. He says, woo, big up, Big Boss Man. We have Paul Markey. Be happy with a 1-0. Come on, you Spurs. I'll take that, my man. I'll take it now. Let's have a good game tonight. 3-0 Spurs. Great work, lads. Big up. Big yourself up, my man. We also have Mick Hanscom. Says, big up the Irish Hotspur and Panline going for a 2-1 win for Spurs tonight. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Mick. Big yourself up, my man. Who else have we got? We've got Pete from the lane. He says, big up, guys, going for a 1-0 win with a Sanchez goal. Come on, you Spurs. You know what, Pete? That's not a bad shout because they are weak from set pieces, which we'll be getting into. So that is not a bad shout. And Moondog, put on one of the centre-backs to score a goal today. I know Dyer won't be playing, but put on one of the centre-backs to score today. Fiona says, any signings yet? See Arsenal let another player lead yesterday. It's a joke. Yeah, it's absolutely a piss take. It is a piss take, but look, I mean, I do hate the player, but I also hate the game. You know what I mean? I hate the Premier League guys that allowed it to happen. And I can't say I don't hate Arsenal. I mean, because I do. But if Spurs were to do it, I'd be sitting there jacking off and be like, what a masterstroke of a move. Pure shit housery, and I love it. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. It is what it is. I mean, look, I'm not happy with it, but if we done it, I'd be absolutely lauding it. Kai Balak says, he says, big up the army. Come on, you Spurs. Big yourself up, my man. Spurs Savage, what's up, lads? How we feeling going into today's game? Confident, always confident, my man. And we've had a bit of a break, so I'm even more confident that we should have 11 Usain Bolts running around out there today. Thomas says, come on, you Spurs. Hopefully a win today. Greetings from Greece. Big up, Thomas. My man. Big up. Whereabouts in Greece? Let me know. We have Rowan Kumar in the building. Big up, Rowan. We also have Cy Dancer, THFC. All right, lads. Big yourself up, my man. And we have a Glea Kakaratis. Hiya, all you wonderful Irish Hotspur lads, Jack, David, Danny Kiriakou, and Sean Levy-Lawn. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. Absolutely love it. And Moondog says, I will put my bet on David for Sanchez first goal scorer if Dyer is out. Absolutely love that, Moondog.
Love that.
Do it. And Wayne Bonner says 2-0 Spurs, Hugo hat-trick. At least this game isn't postponed. Yeah, there's still time, Wayne. We've seen this season. There's still time, my man. Don't count your chickens yet, brother. He says, Tottenham till I do, Tottenham till I die. Afternoon panel and everyone in the chat. Big yourself up, my man. And then we have Satyam Chureja, 3-1 Spurs. Come on, you Spurs. Look, I don't know if that sounds correct, or if that is correct, but it sounds good. So we're going to stick with that until you correct me. But look, everybody, make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you absolutely obliterate that subscribe button if you are new to the channel. And feel free to get your super chats in with all of your thoughts, questions. They always lead to great talking points on this show, as you well know, the Irish Hotspur Army. And look, it is a massive support to myself and Jack on this journey. But look, I'm going to tell everybody everything they need to know, and then we're going to start getting the guests' opinions on today's game, as they're always brilliant, and I want to hear them as well. So everything you guys need to know, of course, we are away at the King Power Stadium. So anyone that is traveling today, make sure your packed lunches is full so that we can feed the foxes. Kickoff is at 7:30 p.m. Referee is Jonathan Moss, and VAR is Simon Hooper. So that's the guys we need to be chasing all around England if they make mistakes today. TV channels in America, Jack, you can get it on USA Network.
Yeah, you can get it on USA Network, I believe, if you have a cable package. If you don't have a cable package, I believe you probably then could find it through NBC Sports or Peacock for this one. But it is technically on cable on USA Network. David is correct.
DAZN in Canada and BT Sport 2 in the UK and Ireland. The watch along will be beginning at 7:15 p.m. as well, guys, here, and also on the pre-match pump up over on We Are Tottenham TV, starting at 6 o'clock, guys. So a lot for everybody to tune in today. So so you don't have to listen to the bias from Fraud Sports or BT Sports. You know what I mean? When they just sit there and give it all the Leicester loving, just join here and we give you all the Tottenham loving. Tottenham, we are sixth in the Premier League. We've played 18, won 10, drawn 3, lost 5, sitting on 33 points. In his entire club career, Tottenham Hotspur striker Harry Kane has scored more goals against Leicester City in all competitions than he has against any other side. 17 in 16 matches. 11 of those have come in the last 8 appearances against the Foxes, including a 4-goal haul at the King Power Stadium in May 2018. So Big H, he should score today. And I'm like a proud father saying that. Tottenham are unbeaten in all 8 of their Premier League matches under Antonio Conte, the best unbeaten start for a Spurs manager in their league history, winning 5 and drawing 3. Only 2 managers to join the Premier League club during the season have had longer unbeaten runs. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at United with 12, and Thomas Titty at Chelsea with 10. Harry Kane, though, has scored 2 goals in 13 appearances on loan at Leicester when he was on loan there in 2012, the 13 season. So he didn't like his time there. He only got 2 goals. I mean, that's not until what he does nowadays. Tottenham have only earned 5 points from their past 7 league games without Sonny. So it'll be very, very interesting to see how we get on without Son today and what way we line up as well. Because, look, 5 points out of 7 league games without Sonny, it's not a good return. Conte was unbeaten in his 6 competitive matches against Leicester, winning on all 4 visits to the King Power Stadium as Chelsea manager. Only one of the 102 games between these 2 teams have ended goalless. This was in the second tier at White Hart Lane in March 1948. So, guys, if you are betting out there, do bet responsibly, first of all. But I'd be putting on over 2.5 goals today and Harry Kane to score. That would be my €5 bet. Tottenham are 1 short of 50 league wins and 200 league goals against the Foxes. So I mean, we can just create some history here against the Foxes today. Honestly, the animal rights will have to be called. We're just going to abuse them tonight. Tottenham have lost 4 of their last 5 Premier League away games played on Wednesdays, winning 1 more than they had in their previous 15 such games in the competition. So yeah, we're not great on Wednesday nights, and Tottenham have scored just 7 goals in 8 away league games this season, compared to an average of which is averaging out at 0.9 per game, compared to an average of 1.7 per game last season. And we will be talking a little bit more about that. For Leicester, they're 10th in the Premier League, played 18, won 7, drawn 4. Lost 7, and they're sitting on 25 points, so they're miles off us. So if we win today, they can kiss their top 4 hopes goodbye. Leicester midfielder James Maddison, he is one to watch. He's been directly involved in 7 goals in his last 6 Premier League appearances, which is 4 goals and 3 assists. more than he had in his previous 26 matches in the competition combined, which was 3 goals and 3 assists. So he's on form right now. Brendan Rodgers' side have won 2 of their last 4 Premier League matches against Spurs, losing 2 and winning 2, of course, as many as they had in their previous 12 games. So they are starting to turn the tide on this fixture a bit lately. But look, it's about time we just make them, just crush them, to be honest with you. The 14 meetings since Leicester's top flight return in 2014 have produced 54 goals. So between Tottenham and Spurs, since 2014, 54 goals. I mean, that's a lot. That is a lot of goals. Leicester could win 4 consecutive Premier League home matches for only the second time under Brendan Rodgers, being managed, having been managed 7 in a row from August to December in 2019. So we definitely don't want to let them win 4 in a row today. And Mark Albrighton, who I actually kind of like, to be honest with you, he's 1 short of 300 career league appearances today. Injury news for you guys for Tottenham. Romero's out with his hamstring. Eric Dyer is out with his calf. Sonny is out with a muscle injury. Reguilon, we're not 100% sure. Look, I still think he'll be out with a bit of a hamstring problem, to be honest with you. I know Brian Daigle did say he left training fuming yesterday. So it'll be very interesting to see where that is, see where that lies. And Sky did report last night that there was one COVID problem in the camp, but I'm not sure how true that is. I think maybe they might be jealous that BT got the game today. Leicester, Jamie Vardy's out with his hamstring. Johnny Evans out with the hamstring. Timothy Castagne is out with his thigh. Ryan Bertrand is out. Ricardo Pereira is out. And Kelechi Iheanacho, Daniela Marti, Wilfred Ndidi, and Nampali's Mendy are all at the African Cup of Nations. But Patson Daka, Luke Thomas, Sayonchu, Kieran Dewsbury Hall, Bubakari Samare, and Ayoze Perez are all set to return today. So look, we will just get straight into it, guys, and we'll start off with Jack and work our way around. Jack, the one benefit of more postponements is allowing some key figures to get healthy, mainly Son. He's still a couple of weeks away, though, but you still have Eric Dyer, Reguilon, Christian Romero, who could all make appearances again soon and will be available for a top 4 run. Should we be looking at these games in hand in a positive manner, as they maybe a bit of a blessing in disguise?
I think, yeah, for probably 2 reasons, Dave, that they could be a blessing in disguise, or maybe you could look at it positive. Just the fact that we probably were going to be, dealing with our most congested fixture list without Christian Romero, and yet we've kind of, gone without that congested fixture list and so we've allowed him to, maybe miss a few games as opposed to missing like a ton of games when you think about it. And then as well with Sonny, these games have been postponed. Sonny, I think it's kind of a weird sort of injury that I think we have to take carefully, but he might be back, I think, Dave, in maybe less than 2 weeks or something like that, I think, for this one. So you also think about it as well, like potentially these postponed matches, these matches that have been kind of extended or, kind of pushed back a bit, just allows for some of our players who have been dealing with some pretty difficult injuries that are kind of, probably annoying them quite a bit to be able to return. And then also as well, Dave, just the congested December fixture list, it was kind of a time period when we were actually missing a lot of games against probably weaker opposition. But I think the whole thing about that December fixture list is, since you're playing so many games in a row, it means that you have probably more of a chance to drop points in that December kind of time period, which means now that it's been kind of extended, it's, being kind of chopped up a bit in terms of when we'll play those games. We probably have more fit players. We'll have a deeper squad. We'll have more time to prepare for those matches. Whereas you probably think about in December, probably would have dropped more points than we actually did, because considering the fact that we don't have a deep squad and we would have been playing game after game after game. So I don't know, Dave, for me, it is kind of a blessing in disguise. As weird as it is to say that, I think it actually has been.
And Sean, look, Jack makes an excellent point there that when these games do come in December, I think we were due to play 9 games in 17 days. Very, very tight together, very tight run. Whereas now when we would play them, it'd be more or less Saturday, Wednesday, Sunday, something like that, or Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday. And they kind of are a bit more spread out. So where do you stand on this? Are you one of these people that would rather have the games played and the points in the bag? Or do you see these called off games being a blessing in disguise until we can get the likes of Eric Dyer, Reguilon, Sonny, Romero back and have our best team available going for top 4?
It's a tricky one, but so in essence, I agree with everything that Jack said. I think it was the injuries, the bonus of escaping some of those tougher games, with arguably 3 of our most important 4 players out injured at the moment. is going to hopefully pay dividends, hopefully. But of course, we can't predict the future. Right? We don't know. We have to play those games again at some point in March, February, March, April, or May. And who knows what's going to happen with COVID, albeit it does look like COVID, at least the severity of COVID in the wider world looks like it's, it's getting a little bit less of an issue. But if there's further breakouts, I don't know how Tottenham can squeeze everything in. I posited an idea on a different channel last night, I think it was, that maybe, one of the ways in which there's 5 games, like Burnley at bottom of the table, having played 17 games, and Manchester City at top of the table, having played 22, right? So there's a 5-game spread at the moment. And it's bloody hard to catch that up. And Tottenham, obviously, at the bottom end of that, we played 18. So one of the things I suggested was it would be great if maybe the Premier League, depending on what happens between now and May, if they could extend the season by, a week or 2 weeks. I'm not entirely sure, but I don't think that's possible because of the League of Nations or whatever, the Cup of Nations or whatever it's called.
And the World Cup as well.
The World Cup's in November, right? But there's lots of games, international games. So I don't know if it's possible. So in essence, I'm with Jack. I think that it's not been a bad show for us to be able to avoid the toughest games in our league. Arsenal at home would have been a tough game, regardless of our injuries or their injuries. It still would have been a tough game. And the other games we missed, I hope that it's going to work out for the best. But I do think we have got another problem coming in the future when we are going to have a compressed fixture list over the next 3 months anyway. So time will tell whether it's a good thing. But generally speaking, I'm with Jack. I think it's going to suit us more than it would have done. I hope at the end of the period, we're going to have more points than we would have done had we had to squeeze everything in over the last 5 or 6 weeks.
Good point, John.
Yeah, great point, Shani. Great points. And Danny, what's your thoughts on all these postponed games? I mean, where do you sit on it? Would you rather we played them, or are you maybe like what Jack and Sean was saying, that maybe they're a bit more spread out and we can get our best 11 out for them every week?
Sorry, boys. Do you know what? It all depends on when they're going to play the games, because I don't know when they're scheduling them for. So I haven't seen where they're scheduling. I don't know if you guys know, but yeah, and that's the thing. It's like it can be beneficial, but if I'm honest, I would rather have played it now. I mean, especially the Arsenal game. I mean, we probably would have took them to the cleaners if I'm honest. Even with the team that we had, even Arteta pretty much admitted it in his press conference today. He said we couldn't have played it. We would have lost. He literally said we wouldn't be able to. We wouldn't have won. He literally said that. He literally said it. It's unbelievable.
We can't play. We would have lost. It's outrageous.
He's literally saying for the fact for a manager to come out and say we would have lost, right? Is literally saying that's the reason why we cancelled.
We cancelled. Yeah.
It's a fucking disgrace. The Premier League are a disgrace.
That lines me up even more here and now.
Yeah.
Fucking is disgusting. And it's the fact, right? The fact that it's because of the Premier League, which is why look. I think, to be honest with you, I know I would have liked to win a trophy in the European Cup, like in the Conference League. But I think if we want to rebuild this team to be able to challenge at the top, I think the Conference League was a blessing in disguise getting dropped out of that, if I'm honest, because we could not have fielded we don't have the depth to compete in that competition. We just don't. And if we want to get top 4 to get the better players in next season, which we all hope will happen, right? I think the best thing that happened was getting out of that. But it was the Premier League's fault, which is why we came out of that competition, because they refused to move the Leicester game. Today would have been the game where we would have played the Rennes game, the rearranged game. Yeah. But because they didn't want to remove this game, that's the reason why we got dropped out of it, right? And the Premier League have got the audacity to go and do what they did just because Arsenal felt they were going to lose the game.
No, Danny, it was the first game. Yeah, the game that actually ended up getting called off. That was December. The one where
sorry, that was the one. Yeah, sorry, you're right. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, this is what I mean. It's just the Premier League. They just do things to suit their own agendas whenever they feel like it, and there's no continuity between it. And I think I would have preferred to have played the game, right? Yeah. I would have preferred to play a game because I think it would have been a lot easier to get 3 points, and to be honest, we deserve it after the shit that we've had to put up with from these scumbags. But look, I do get where Jack and Sean are coming from, where it does spread it out over time. It just all depends on when, because what happens if another game gets called off for something else. Then we've got another game we have to rearrange, and that's
at a certain point it becomes too many. At a certain
this
point,
is exactly it.
Yeah,
unless there's an extension to the league, right?
Well,
unless
unless it's an extension to the league, there's that gamble, right? There's that gamble where there's a gamble basically of an even bigger pile up, which means we might have to play 3 games in a week for like a couple of weeks rather than 2 games in a week for 4 weeks or something like that, because we've got 4 games in hand, so that's essentially 2 games a week for 4 weeks, right? To fit in 1 game midweek. So it kind of would be like the Conference League. Now, could you imagine what it'd be like if we did have the Conference League as well?
Yeah,
how
10 more games, right? But potential 10 more. And if you're not going to win it, if you're not going to go and win it, then there's no point in playing it. So if you do want to win it, there would have been 10 more games to squeeze in alongside the 4 rearranged games, alongside the rest of the games in the league. It would have been an impossible task.
Yeah, and especially with our squad, right? Could you imagine the injuries we would pick up with the amount of games we had to play?
Yeah.
We would be so depleted. We'd have to be relying on Dane Scarlett as our main player, because we'll probably have Lucas Moura injured, Son injured, Kane injured, because they've been overused and just completely drained, tired. Literally, we'd have to be using the youngsters to field a team, and then we I bet you any money, if we requested to fucking postpone a game because we wouldn't win, it'd say, "Oh no, sorry, you're Tottenham, you have to play. You're just Tottenham."
Yeah.
That's the answer that we get. You're Tottenham. No,
I mean,
doesn't matter.
We've seen it time and time again. Like you have Lasagna. I mean, they could have just let us play again the next day, but they didn't. They wanted to finish the Premier League on the same day so they could all jet off and pull each other off or whatever else they do. I mean, they just absolutely hate Tottenham, and I'm absolutely fed up with it. But look, this is why we need to take matters into our own hands, stand up and be counted on the football pitch. Everyone else hates us. Well, then do your talking out there. Show them. That's what I say. Tottenham Tantrum Goal with the Super Chat. Ladies and gentlemen, it's here. It is game day. It's game time. Woo! We will win tonight because we are the mighty Tottenham Hotspur. The cockerel is rising from the ashes, because we are the club that Nick built. Big up, guys, and come on, you Spurs. Absolutely love it, Dermot. He is absolutely pumped up for this one.
Come on, Dermo.
Oh, you gotta love it. I mean, the guy he's a walking motivator, so he is. He's a walking motivator. I love Dermot. Everybody do get over and check out Tottenham Tantrum Goal as well. It is a great channel, so it is. Showing all the older games. And they also they're campaigning to get the statues outside the ground for some of our heroes as well. So big up Dermot and Tottenham Tantrum Goal, my man, and really appreciate the support. Everyone else, feel free to get your super chats in with questions and with your points, your thoughts, because they always do lead to great talking points. But big up Dermot, really appreciate the support.
Dermot the historian, big up Dermot. Also, I want to see the ethos of Bill Nick rise up from the ashes, like Harry Kane rises like a phoenix for a header. Today, Dermot, big yourself up, my man.
Big up, my man. Now, guys, I do actually want to talk about our away form. Tottenham, like I said earlier on, have scored just 7 goals in 8 away league games this season, 0.9 per game compared to an average of 1.7 per game last season. We scored 33 and 19 last season. But Spurs have only won 7 of their past 24 away matches. Why is our away form so bad? Is it because this team lacks togetherness and there's infighting in the dressing room? And look, they don't get on. We know this from the words from Højbjerg, Lloris, for example. And is this why Conte maybe sets us up to play very pragmatic away from home? And in terms of what I mean by that is he doesn't allow bodies to get forward in the fashion or the same manner the way he does at home. He doesn't really go and attack the games the way he does away, the way he does at home when we're playing away. And Jack, we'll go to you on this one first, man.
I think it is a combination of 2 things. I think, like you said, it has to do with Conte's tactics, which I can get into later. But I think, David, it has to do with a bit of, that lack of squad unity that you were probably talking about. I mean, we do know that a lot of these players, there is a bit of infighting. There are kind of cliques, you might say, in the dressing room with certain players, and as well as they're kind of certain bad eggs or bad apples, you might say, as well, and kind of in the dressing room. And it all just kind of makes it so that when you do go away, Dave, when you do kind of, have to really rely on yourselves, you kind of have to look at each other and look at it, depend on each other. We just don't really have, I think, the squad unity or kind of that squad chemistry in order to actually really kind of pursue or really kind of, power through these sort of kind of fixtures. And whereas when we're at home, Dave, we have all the support of the crowd, we have have all the support of the fans. You kind of have also the expectation of winning it, I think, at home, which I think then overrides the sort of kind of complications in the dressing room. So I think you're right, Dave. I mean, to be fair, the morality of the squad, or just, you know, the camaraderie they have, just isn't there when it comes to or away games. They just don't really look at each other, kind of depend on each other. There's no unity. And so I think, you know, like you said, Højbjerg and your Larissa sort of kind of interviews at one stage really are kind of an indication of that. And then also, I think, Dave, yeah, to be honest, I think Antonio Conte does set up a bit more pragmatically when he is away from home. I think it kind of makes sense when he's away from home. If he grabs a point or grabs 3 points, that's better than maybe losing points away from home. He's probably thinking about it as if you make kind of the home ground a fortress, and then you kind of grab whatever points you can away from home, you probably could still be challenging for maybe top 5, top 6 in the Premier League. And I think that's probably actually quite a smart strategy. And so maybe it is just him just not wanting to really drop all 3 points, you might say, away from home. That seems to be more important to him. And so there is, I think, a noticeable difference between how we play kind of stylistically away from home versus at home. At home, we're a lot more aggressive. We seem to be able to kind of go after our opponents a bit more. Whereas when we're away from home, we just seem to sit up a bit more kind of conservatively, a bit more pragmatically. And I could see where he's coming from on that.
And Jack, just to press you a little bit more on that, does he play the pragmatic style as well because he doesn't believe in the quality the squad has? Or do you think if we did have better quality, he would still play this way away from home anyway?
I think he probably doesn't depend on the quality of the squad, because there are actually a lot of players, and we've spoken plenty of times about this, Dave. You probably think about it when you're away from home, you do maybe need someone that is a bit more that creative player that can kind of break down an opposition when kind of, you know, you don't really have the crowd behind you, when you can't really rely on maybe the momentum or that kind of that energy or kind of that adrenaline that maybe the crowd gives you. You need to kind of just use your own quality. You need to use your own training. You need to use your own kind of just skills in order to be able to beat the opposition away from home. And we probably don't have a lot of players that can exactly do that. We kind of do rely on kind of the waves of momentum that the crowd give us. And so away from home, you probably do need someone in that creative midfield role, Dave, that box to box sort of player. You need better wing backs, I feel like, in Conte's system in order to probably get, you know, maybe more results away from home. I think there are a few positions in our starting 11, Dave, that just don't really have the quality in order to kind of get those results away from home in the way that Antonio Conte would like. So he has to set up a bit more pragmatically and kind of go for more snatch and grabs, which I don't know, Dave. I see where he's coming from because, like you said, has more to do with, I think, the fact that the quality of the squad is not really there in order to maybe kind of snatch and grab, or in order to kind of dominate a team away from home. So that's why we're kind of going for more snatch and grabs, it feels like.
Absolutely spot on. Good analysis there, Jack, I have to say. And I'll let Shawnee in now in 1 second. What's the story? Big up that. He says, points in the bank. Play the games day after day to catch up. Super Spurs will win them all. Come on, you Spurs. Come on, let's have it. Big up, our lad. I hope you're keeping well. Hope you're having a good day. Chill out. Crack open a bottle. Tell man you're not doing anything. And just sit back and watch the game. You can blame me. No bother. But Shawnee, you know, when it comes to this away form, what do you think is the problem? Is it squad unity? Is it lack of quality? Is it lack of hunger, lack of fight? What do you think is the problem?
Well, so before I give my answer, when you said that we only won 7 out of our last 21, is that across all competitions?
Yes.
Okay. So regardless of
our last 24, sorry, Shawnee.
24. Yeah, okay. So yeah, it doesn't read well on statistically. But I'll also throw out a couple other statistics. Antonio Conte's undefeated away from home in the league. His first game was against Everton. It was brand new to the Tottenham team.
Yeah.
Okay. Against Southampton, yes. Southampton they put in a dogged defense and we couldn't break them down. That's the one highlight that I'll admit that we struggled with away from home. At Watford, we obviously got the job done in the end. It wasn't pretty, but we got the job done. So, but we're thinking about form. You also have to consider within those 24 games you're referring to, it's under 3 different managers, right? That's under Jose Mourinho, that's under Nuno Espirito Santo, and that's under Antonio Conte. So I think under Nuno, the players didn't have any respect for him, right? They didn't have any respect at home or away. So I would take I take that statistic. It sounds crazy on paper that we've got, you know, a less than like a 30% win ratio away from home over the last 24 games. But there's lots of variables you have to factor in there. You know, one of the managers, none of the players cared for. The other manager, I'm sure that particular statistic starts probably about Christmas time after the Liverpool game last season when we should have won. and we lost 1-0 to Liverpool, and then everything fell apart for Tottenham. But that was under a different system. That was under 2 different managers. So I think we just need to kind of draw a line under it personally. Yes, there's things that we have to worry about from looking at the Watford game and the Southampton game. Teams at home that are lower leagues are more likely to sit in and try and kind of, they're happy with a point against Tottenham. And Tottenham away from home aren't going to have the home support, which is definitely always going to be a factor to bake into the price. But generally speaking, under Conte, we're still undefeated in the league. And the game against Mura, the games that are part of that same statistic are the Super League stuff, the Conference League stuff. When that wasn't our first team, it was a bunch of players that were prima donnas who thought they were too good to be in the competition in the first place, alongside some 17-year-olds playing away in the arse end of Europe that no one wants to be at. So whilst it's a little bit of it's an important statistic to keep in mind, there's a lots of variables there that you can actually kind of cross that one out because it was under Nuno, cross that one out because it was in Europe. Under Conte in the league, we're undefeated, so I'm not particularly concerned. But I do think against Leicester tonight, the problems that we had and we faced against Watford and against Southampton, where we're going to struggle to break the teams down who are happy to get a point against a team that they look at and say that they're much better than us. I don't think we're going to have the same struggles against Leicester. Leicester look at us and think of themselves as equals, or they think of us, or they think of the 2 teams as equals. They're going to come out fighting. So I don't think the away form should be as much of a thing to concern ourselves with tonight as it would be, as that statistic would suggest that we should be. If that makes sense.
Great added context, Sean. Great added context. And that's why I kind of thought as well, I think you put up a much better point, but that's why I kind of said, with Antonio Conte, it feels like what he's really just doing is just trying not to lose away from home. And when you actually look at it that sort of way, hence why he's probably still undefeated, away from home in the Premier League. And you actually, as much as maybe the performances away from home haven't been these spectacular sort of 3-0, 4-0s, you kind of look at it and you're like, I mean, he is going about it the right sort of way, which I think you put that perfectly, Sean. Great added context, I must say.
Yeah. No. And look, I still do think we should air concern to this because, like we said, although we are unbeaten, our performances have been very, very bad. And we could have easily lost some of them games if them teams did take their chances. And then that stat would also still continue. But it is showing improvement that we are getting out of there with at least a result. But, Danny, we can't deny the away form has been poor. We don't get going away from home whatsoever. And the fact that it is under 3, I would say 4 managers, I think Mason is included in that as well. But the fact that it's kind of like over 4 managers, I know it's starting to slightly improve now. But should we not be worried? And what is the reason for this? Because 4 managers, 4 different styles, and it's not really improving greatly.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Jack was saying earlier. To me, it's just the lack of mentality with these players. To be honest with you, it's just these players. There isn't any other answer or reason why we're not great away from home. It's because of the lack of mentality that these players have. They're just not good enough. Like, I mean, how many times do we have to sit here and say we need probably about nine players in this team changed and 9 players to come in who are better than what we've got on our first team right now? It's about 9, I'd say 8 or 9. I'd say we need to come in, right? Yeah, exactly. What old lad's saying, right? He's saying the problem is the midfield is weak. He's spot on. The midfield is probably one of our worst areas on the pitch. We've got a pretty good attack, right? You could probably say we could get by in attack. In defense, we obviously need a lot better. We need a bit more steel in defense. So we need a better replacement for the left centre back and probably Dyer as well. You could even argue that maybe even a better left wing back, someone who's even better than Reguilon. I don't know if you're going to get that, so we have to give Reguilon a chance. I mean, I've said it with Reguilon. He needs to be more direct. He needs to be more aggressive. He needs to bulk up a little bit. Lloris, one of the best keepers on the planet. We're fine in the goalkeeping department. I think we could have a young backup keeper. But it's the midfield is the weakest part of our team. Our midfield is, when you compare Moussa Dembele, Wanyama, Christian Eriksen, and the midfield that we have now, which is Ndom Fatas, Darren Anderton 2.0, and then you have Harry Winks, who is playing like he's He's from another planet at the moment, which ain't gonna last, right? And this is kind to Winks because it's not even an amazing level. It's what he should be doing. He's a fucking professional footballer.
You could even argue
right?
the last 2 games he's actually dropped off a bit. Actually,
He has a little bit. He has. You're right. I agree. Yeah. And this is why he would never keep it up because he's just not good enough, right? So until we have, I would say two more additions in the midfield, I keep saying we need another destroyer, right? We need a ball-winning destroyer who's got energy to burn, like he can run non-stop for 90 minutes, and we need a very good creative player. And I'd probably even go as far as saying we probably need another creative player because our problem is our depth. And if you look at who we're playing now in the first team, would some of those actually even get in our bench if we were trying to challenge for a top 4 or a title or something? I don't think so. So until we have players who are of a higher mentality and better quality, I think we're going to struggle. Like Antonio Conte, the genius, said it himself. We struggle in every game. And that's even home games as well. Yeah. So when you struggle in home games, and the home games, we seem to be doing better. And that's, I believe, it's because of what Conte has created in the stadium, the atmosphere, right? He's definitely created a more togetherness in the stadium, and the atmosphere is better in the home stadiums than it has been for a while, right? Even under the Mourinho tenure, it wasn't that great. Obviously, I know we weren't in the stadium for most of it, but at the beginning, it still wasn't that great, right? Yeah. But yeah, and away from home, obviously, they've got it's the home fans that can help. And yeah, it's like every time we played away this season, what I've seen is they just fall off. They just lose their concentration. They lack their desire and their passion. I don't know what it is, but for me, it's mentality. It's the only thing I can put it down to, because why is it that these players can perform so well at home, or so much better, should I say, not even well, so much better at home than they can away from home? And even if it's against the same team, right? It makes no sense. But the only thing is, it's a mental block in their heads. And
for me, Danny, when you go away from home, the squad, if you have a squad that like each other and work for each other, that will replicate itself on the pitch away from home when it's everybody against you.
Yeah,
in my 100%. Opinion. And I just think because we have fractions in this squad, I just don't think that togetherness is there to see them all doing the extra hard yards for people, to cover for people if they make a mistake and stuff like that.
Where do you think the fractures are? Sorry, Danny.
Oh no, all I wanted to say is I know I'll let David answer that, but yeah, it basically, David's spot on. That is also the element to it. There isn't a togetherness with this squad. Like, you can have the first 11, maybe 6 or 7 of them fighting for the same cause, but then others are still kind of debating whether they want to play for the badge or play for Conte or give it their all. And you can see some of the players that not. And when you've got players in that squad that don't want to be there or are not going to give 100% for that badge or for the cause, should I say, then you're not gonna get the best out of everyone, and you're not gonna get a kind of a team spirited performance. Like look at Brighton, right, the other day. The way they play, it's a team spirit because everyone is fighting for the same cause. They're fighting for each other. Yeah. Well, the last time we had that properly was under Poch. That was the last time we properly had that. The Liverpool game this season, you could say you probably saw more of that than you've ever seen it for a long time, for years at Spurs, right? And they can't sustain that because of these fractions that David's talking about. Because they're just not all fighting for the same, not all heading in the same direction. You've got Harry Kane who wants to win titles. You've got Son who's happy to kind of be at the club, but he wants to win, but not as much as how Kane wants to win. Lucas Moura, I believe, really wants to win a trophy at Spurs. I believe he really wants to win a trophy, and he has been one of our better performers this season. But years gone by, he's been very inconsistent, and he's still kind of inconsistent, but he's better this season. He's probably one of the best performances we've seen this season with him, which is good. You can see the desire, his passing has gone up. And and until they have that continuity between what they all want to achieve at Spurs and play for the badge, then it's going to be very difficult for us. And we just have to hope that. Yeah, go on, Dave.
I mean, look, we've listened to Hugo Lloris's words, we've listened to Højbjerg's words, and they've both said more or less the same thing. There's people here that are not pulling their weight. There's people here that are lazy. They're not giving it their all. You know, and there's ultimately people that just don't want to be here. And like when you have a player that doesn't want to be there, naturally what happens is if there's other players left out of the squad, they naturally start going over to this guy. Then all of a sudden you don't have one player, you have a clique, and it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. And this is what we've seen over Tottenham the last couple of years. And just when you listen to the words of Hugo, when you listen to the words of Højbjerg, I mean, these are guys that want to be at Tottenham. They want to put it in every day, and they're getting frustrated at certain people at this club. Now, I mean, they're never going to come out and name them because that's just career suicide. But like they've said it in interviews that there's just people at this club that are just taking the piss. They're not on board with what they're trying to do. Now, what I do think what Conte has done that other managers failed to do is, for me, he's isolated one of the biggest parts of the problem, which is Ndombele. He sent him off on his own special conditioning training. He's killing him at the minute. I absolutely love it. He probably has the army general in there running them through boot camp. You know, you got to love it. But for me, it's just kind of like, I think this is why Conte might stand a chance more than other managers, because he has isolated the biggest part of the problem. Now, there probably are others there. I mean, I wouldn't say Dele Alli's too happy. Matt Doherty, I wouldn't say is too happy. I know he's being used at left wing back, but that's out of necessity rather than choice, in my opinion. And so, look, this squad does have to be rotated, and when you do have that togetherness, like we've seen under Poch, you can go to these away games and you can play your game because you know everyone's going to die for each other, everyone's going to run for each other. Right now, we just don't have it, and you can see that when we play these guys in some of these cup games where we've just been turned over.
Dave, do you think just developing that a little bit further, is it a chicken and the egg, right? Like the teams that have got the best togetherness, and to Danny's point, you know, Brighton is a great example. I think Wolves are another great example right now. Aston Villa look like they're pulling something together as well. Do you think it's just a case of the players clash? Like sometimes you just get personalities that don't get on. Like in any office anywhere in the world, you have people that are on the same team, but they just don't like each other. Or do you think it's a case of because there's, you know, like frustration in the ranks, frustration from the fans, it penetrates through and it amplifies little niggles, little things.
What I would say, Shawnee, there is just to answer the first part is, if you have two personalities that clash, but if they have the same common goal, you can get that to work. You can get them to work because they're both driven by the same goal. But when they're not, and you have players, and it's clear at Tottenham, we've heard people say this in the past, that, you know, there's players here that want to work hard, they want to win, they have the desire of winning trophies, and there's just others that are here and not pulling away. But just to answer your question, that when you do have two players with clashing personalities, you put the same goal in front of them, they will make it work.
Make it work, yeah. I remember like listening to Frank Lampard and I think it was Steven Gerrard that were doing an interview with Gary Neville on one of his shows, and they were talking about the England camp around circa like 2006, 2010.
Yeah.
And they were saying that there was like, I know it's different because the England camp doesn't get together all the time, but they were like, there was different banks, there was different groups of people, and they wouldn't share it. And then you heard about the things where Frank Lampard and Gerrard were having bets with each other about who would score the most goals during the competition. And so bring it back to Tottenham. I just wonder whether or not some of the frustrations can get amplified within the team because the success isn't necessarily there. Whereas when you're winning, everyone's happier, right? Because every footballer should be happy with winning. You're doing your job, and you're going to be outperforming, and you might maybe get to play on a higher level. You get to your own stock is rising. So I just wonder whether or not are the problems at Tottenham, and I acknowledge that they exist 100% with you, that are they deep set rooted within the players? They just don't like each other, or are they surface level because Tottenham are not performing? You know, everyone's going to be happier on a Monday if you beat Arsenal on a Sunday, but if you get thumped by Arsenal like we did earlier on in the season, everyone's going to be toxic on a Monday. So I just wonder whether it's the chicken and egg. Like, does success breed happiness, or does happiness breed success?
No, I get what you're saying. Look, all I can say is, I just think, well, when you have a team pulling the same way, that also brings success. You know what I mean? Or else it get you on the road to success. You know, when you people pull in different ways, it crumbles. But I have a super chat here from a legend I want to get to, but I want to take this one from another legend first. And it's Kenneth Tottenham Hotspur. He says, cheers, building up my football nerves. Hopefully we can pull off a solid victory without the last minute nervous heartbeat. No, look, my man, look, we're just here to discuss teams and points and stuff like that we see. Put it in a good open debate and let people make their own mind up off it. Look, it's not always going to be positive. Not always. I try my best to be positive, but there's just certain discussions I feel like we should be having. And I think that's a lot of the negative stuff out of the way. So now we can just get onto pure positives, and then them nerves will go. Kind of big yourself up, my man. Really appreciate the support. Let me know what score prediction you're going with, Kenneth. Big up, my man.
Oh!
Our TV is in the building.
Oh!
What have I missed? Just need time to recover before heading back. Missed your ugly mugs. First of all, Bob, it is great to see you back in the chat.
Awesome.
Look, Brian Daigle has been doing a tremendous job keeping everybody updated, going on all the channels, updating absolutely everybody. A lot of love for you out there, Bob. And look, you know, hopefully you're on the road to recovery now, which I think you are because you have your phone and that. So, look, you know, get back out and join us soon.
Yeah.
What have you missed? I mean, look, it's
a lot.
It's the winter of 2025, Bob. No, I'm not messing with that. No,
Nuno's been rehired, Bob. You know, Conte left. Kane has been sold. Levy is gone. But, Bob, it's beautiful to see you back. It's beautiful to see you fighting. It's beautiful to see you up and at 'em. But from what I can tell, at least more up and at 'em than you were before. Daigle has been informing everybody. He's been by your side, absolutely keeping everybody informed. Everybody's been behind you, and everybody's looking forward to having you back, brother. Really good to see you. This is beautiful news. This is beautiful to see.
It's definitely
We're definitely going to win now, aren't we? Definitely going to win
Surely.
tonight.
I mean, look. Well, we know Bob's going to go for a 4-1 tonight, so that's what Daigle's been doing pretty much all the time. So do you know what? It's probably put the biggest smile on my face seeing Bob's name come up in the comments today with the super chat.
Yeah.
It just makes you feel so good and so happy to see that he's actually able to get on his phone and come on and say hello. And it's been through absolute hell, and it's so good that everyone. He's on here, and it's everyone's missed him. Everyone's loves Bob, and everyone can't wait to see him back. And we just can't wait for him to recover fully. And all I want to say is you can go fucking piss off now and recover, and then you can come back on and we can get on your back on the In the Wall show again.
Love it.
Big up, Bob. Sean, you want to say anything to Bobby?
Well, big up, mate. I haven't met you, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm new to the whole community, but I've heard, I've been blown away by how much one man's message, one man's contribution can mean to so many people. So it's awesome to see you back on your feet, hopefully soon. Can't wait to meet you in person one day, mate, because you're obviously a legend, and I'm glad you're feeling better.
Big up, Bob. And look, if there's anything that we can do, just let us know. If you need help getting back on your feet or stuff like that, let us know, and I'm sure we can arrange something like that, Bob. But big yourself up, and it is great to have you back, my man. Be a lot of smiles on Spurs fans' faces today, knowing that. And Bob, if you get the chance and you do have your phone, just pop into all the channels that are live over the next couple of days, because a lot of people have been asking for you, my man. And
a lot of people miss you.
So just pop into all the chats and let them know that you're well, my man. Truth Sets You Free says, we love you, Bob Spur. Big up. And he also says, we love you, Bob Spur. Every other club can piss off. You got to love it. You got to love it. Piss off, Bob.
Exactly. And the one thing, Bob, you're lucky because we ain't signed anyone anyway. So don't worry, mate. You ain't missed too much. We ain't signed. And as you always say, mate.
Protesting again, actually. Daigle's protesting again.
I know, yeah, he is. And as always, until they're holding the shirt, Bob. Till they're holding the shirt. That's why we say, mate. That's what we say.
I just want to chime in real quick because Cody Mack saying, Bob Spur, just wait until you hear what Shawnee's been saying about Daniel Levy. I don't. Let's judge each other on how we meet each other, not what you heard about me from the channel. Because if you're like a Levy out, then you probably won't like me very much.
No. Bob will have a good debate with you. So
you know what? It feels like we've signed Bob today. It feels like we've signed Bob back. It's like it's the return. Yeah, we've signed Bob Spur today. That's it. The Irish Hotspur has officially signed him today.
Honestly, he'd be a better backup number 9 than what we got at this moment in time. So I'd say, Bob, when you're back in training, looking forward to seeing you, playing back up to Harry. But Bob, say it again, beautiful to have you back. It's beautiful to see.
Big up, Bob. Big up. But guys, look, we'll keep it moving. And Bob, hopefully you stick with us, my man. Keep putting your opinions in the chat, brother. Jack, I suppose, look, we only need one answer off this, so and then I'll move on to the next part. But surely Captain Hugo Lloris will return to the side after Conte's strange experiment with backup goalkeeper Galini in Wednesday's 1-0 defeat to Chelsea in the Carabao semi-final of the Cup, Jack.
Yeah, I mean, I think he has to be returning, and maybe he was being saved. I guess the story is he could have been being saved for the North London derby potentially, and that was already postponed. So I mean, he has to be back for this one, Dave. I don't think I need to drone on or waste too many words. He is going to be back for this one. If he isn't back, then I would say you should absolutely be screaming. You should be shouting, because that would be very, very worrisome if you weren't back for this one, because then I would say there is some sort of rift, or there is some sort of complication happening that maybe we haven't actually learned about. But I would say, Dave, he's coming back for this one. That's all you need to say. No more Galini, no more droopy-eyed, kind of like clouds under the eyes sort of player. Yeah, I would say no more Galini anymore, because I would say that guy honestly looks more tired than me in the morning at times, Galini. But I would say Lloris, he's back. That's all I can say.
Nah, I hope so. I mean, hopefully he was just rested. But look, Sean, Ali Gold reported on Hugo's contract situation during the week and said, and this is what he said: that's expected to be tied up very soon. Conte is confident, and from what I understand, Lloris is keen to stay. And his demands are modest and have been deemed more than reasonable by the powers to be at Tottenham Hotspur. Are you surprised it took so long to kind of get to the negotiation stage for the contract? And was that Hugo's decision or was that the club's?
Well, I'm not surprised that he's reasonable with his demands, because whenever I started a new season on FIFA, every time you go to the contract negotiation stage, no matter what price you put out there, they always say he'll accept it. So he's a very reasonable man. But in terms of it's great news. It's great to hear that he's gonna hopefully stay for another couple of years. It's a key core position for a team, and we clearly haven't got a backup. We clearly haven't got someone that's good enough yet. We need to figure that out. I don't think that the job is done when you get that deal over the line. I think you still need to go and sign a Henderson, or still need to go and sign somebody who can, a Pope or whatever, who can come in and can be that guy who learns from Hugo for the last year and then gets drafted in. But it's not if we can get Hugo's contract signed now, then in terms of priorities of signings, I don't think the goalkeeper is obviously quite as crucial. So it's good news. And in terms of how long it takes to get it done, who knows, mate? None of us ever know what's going on with the backgrounds. You read things in the press and you assume that they're newsworthy, or that they're real, or that there's any truth to it. But everybody's speculating. I think it's pretty clear that probably his agent had a conversation at some point and said, "Look, it's all good, right? Just do your thing. We'll get it done. Don't worry about it." But again, I'm assuming as well. So am I surprised it took this long? Yes and no. It could have been done sooner. It could have taken longer, but I'm not surprised he's signing. But I don't. None of us know what goes on with the. I'm pretty sure it would have been a fairly simple.
Do you know what?
Conversation.
I think it was Hugo dragging his heels. To be honest with you, I don't think he had any intention of signing a contract until Conte came in. Because he probably didn't see where this club was going.
I think it needed to be a transparent conversation of some kind, where it's like Hugo was looking at maybe, making a return back to Liga. There were rumors that he might have been going to MLS. There were all these sort of rumors that he wanted to take a step down. So probably just was waiting on some sort of transparent conversation where it's like, Hugo, are you comfortable with pushing for a league title next season? Are you comfortable for pushing in for trophies? Do you have it in your legs? Do you have it in your mind to be able to do that? Are you ready to, kind of continue to go at it at such a high level, especially considering his age, at such a high level? Are you willing to do it? Are you prepared to do it? And I bet it just required a bit of a transparent conversation that he had to have with his own agent, that he had to have with Conte, that he had to have with Levy and Paratici. And you think about it, that probably takes more time than you probably realize. Him actually, coming to terms with the fact that if he is staying, that means he is going to be pushing as our keeper next season. as that player that might try to go for top 4, as that player that might try to go another full season in the Premier League, which is not easy for a man his age. I know he is a keeper at the end of the day, but it is not easy for a man his age. He's also gone through a lot of torment and a lot of torture at this club as well. So it is probably just him thinking, can I do it for another 2 seasons? Am I prepared to do that? And I think he just had to, think to himself for a while, and eventually he had to talk to all 3 people, Conte, his agent, and then Mr. Levy upstairs.
No, 100%. 100%. And look, we'll keep it moving along. But over 400 in house right now, guys. Everyone absolutely smash that like button. Let's get it to over 250 likes. No reason why we can't do it. It's just that thumbs up. Smash that subscribe button if you are new to the channel for more of this sort of content. And guys, feel free to get your super chats in. Always great talking points as well. Questions for the panel. Get your thoughts in. And it's a great way to support me and Jack on the journey. But Danny, I want to go to you with this one, my man. Japhet Tanganga has endured a nightmare spell of late, making mistakes, leading to goals in both legs against Chelsea in the FA Cup, and then in the FA Cup against Morecambe as well. But do you think he's likely to keep his place in the back line today due to the obvious absentees of Dyer and Romero? Or do you think you might even see Roden come into the lineup today instead of Tanganga?
It's possible. It's so hard to guess Conte's decisions because, time after time, all of us, we all try guess his decision making and who's going to play and all this kind of stuff. But what happens is we get the most unexpected lineup or unexpected personnel changes. And it's like, again, the other day, no one expected Doherty to play again. But he did, and Sessegnon was on the bench, and he was fit, and it was like, why don't you just play a left-footed left wing back, right? So it's hard. Personally, I would probably prefer to go with Sanchez as the right centre back and Roden as the main centre back today, if it was me. But I think he might stick with Tanganga and Sanchez just because how the Morecambe game went and how bad it was. And I know we won the game, but we were so poor. We were atrocious when them 3 played together. It was the first time Roden, Sanchez, and Ben Davies played together, and they were terrible together, so bad. Rodon looked nervous. He looked out of sorts. He just looked out of place. Yeah, I'd probably go with Tanganga today, even though I don't really want to, but we ain't got much choice. So if it was me, I'd probably go with Tanganga. It's annoying because unfortunately he's just so bad on the ball. Yeah, I know. No, I agree. I don't want to see Tanganga, but I don't know, man.
They're both pretty bad on the ball. I would say Joe Rodon and Tanganga.
I agree. I completely agree. But who? It's like out of the 2 shit players, who do you really want playing? Do you want Sanchez as the main centre back, or sorry, do you want Rodon as the main centre back, playing with Sanchez and Davis, or do you want Sanchez is the main centre back and playing Tanganga and Davis? And it's like, well, we're going to have one of those partnerships, but it's like the lesser of 2 evils. Which one do we choose? Personally, I don't know, man. Do you know what? I'll just give Roden another go. I would say give Roden another chance at the main centre back. Play Sanchez right centre back because that's what he's good at, and just don't play Tanganga because if he plays Tanganga, then it's going to be. I think we're going to have problems. And the other thing is, I just don't want to see Doherty play again. I just don't want to see him. Please just don't play Doherty. If we play Doherty again, a left wing back, I think we're in for a tough night, if I'm honest. Another struggle, as Conte would say. Another struggle. We probably could still pull off a win, but it's going to be a struggle. I would rather see Sessegnon play. Also, just some news. Ali Gold just come out and said he basically has said that Lo Celso is going to be called up for international duty. So we know he's going to get injured again. So we might as well consider him out of the squad.
That is return also as well.
I agree. But the good news is that Romero has not been called up, which means it gives him time to recover and he won't get injured on international duty and that he can come back for after the international break. Now, there's rumors that he's going to be on the bench tonight. I think he might be on the bench, but he might get like 10 minutes of a runabout maybe. Just to kind of get a bit of going again sort of thing. But I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't play today. I think we're going to see him after the international break. Probably.
Yeah, spot on. Angel Matos with the super chat with the big yourself up, my man. And he says, why can't Paratici get some pre-contract agreements done? report to Levy how many millions he won't spend in the summer and get him to open the summer vault now. I mean, guys, which one of you wants to take this one?
It might be Angel or it might be Angel, but I would say it's a great question, my man. And to be fair, Paratici is kind of the king of the pre-contract. I'm actually quite surprised we've yet to do one yet, because this is, his time. Comparison to someone like Steve Hitchin, Angel, you would say, probably Paratici loves the January window, because that means pre-contract arrivals. That means, he can start talking to players and, things like that, be able to discuss, free transfers. It's kind of his time to shine. And you probably would say if he's not getting anything done, I would probably argue there is maybe a certain man upstairs that is preventing him from getting things done. We know he's always on the phone. We know he's always doing research. We know he's always, willing to try to improve the squad and try to bring in new talent and bring in new players. And if he's not doing it, then I think it just has to do with a particular person upstairs. I mean, it's been constantly spoken about how Paratici is almost nonstop working. You can maybe rate how good of a director of football it is. Maybe that's up for debate. But I think what hasn't been debated is the guy is nonstop working. He's never not on his phone, kind of looking at what sort of players he can look at, what sort of players he can bring in. He has a good scouting network. And so if we don't get any pre-contracts, coming in, I would say you could look at a certain man upstairs. It's a great question, though. The summer vault, supposedly the summer vault's actually quite full and large, but so far it seems like the winter vault covered in ice, covered in icicles. It can't be broken. We're going to have to get a blowtorch or something, in order to get it through, because we're going to need to break open that vault, actually break into it GTA style, I would say, on help. But pick yourself up, my man.
Big up, Angel. Big up. And Jack, you can take this one from Sean Mitchell as well. Big up, Sean, my brother. Hope you're keeping well. Just recently had a little baby boy. Hopefully we'll see him in a Spurs
congratulations.
Game. And he will be joining us when we go on the day trip on February the 13th as well.
Love it.
Big up, my brother.
Be good to meet you then, Sean.
Honestly, he's a right laugh. We're going to have a good time. But Jack, he says, big up, lads. Super show. What do you see as the biggest threat to us today?
Great question, Sean. That's a great question.
Can I give one answer? One player? Harvey Barnes.
Interesting. I would probably say he'd probably be on third or fourth of my list, but he is very good on one-on-one situations, which we did break down yesterday on Stats with Jack. Sean, we did break down that, he can hurt us in those one-on-one kind of situations. Harvey Barnes. The two players I would point towards are easily, I think, James Maddison and Patson Daka. What I think people don't realize about Patson Daka, Sean, is that he's actually has much better hold-up play than Jamie Vardy does. He makes the same runs in behind that Jamie Vardy does, but he has a bit better hold-up play than Jamie does, which I think actually benefits Leicester a lot when it comes to how they want to play, because he can make those Ollie Watkins kind of runs where he then just holds it up in the corner, can kind of get the players up the field that way, which I think is a real danger. And then James Maddison, who's I think in spectacular form. David had a stat where I think he's 4 goals, 3 assists in the last 6 or 7 games, which is just absolutely on fire. And then as well, he has the most through balls completed in the entire squad. He has the most goal creating actions as well as the most shot creating actions in the entire squad. So I would say those two, James Maddison, Patson Daka, or maybe you're more afraid of a Harvey Barnes one-on-one, but those are certainly 3 very good threats that I feel like we should be wary of.
Big up, Shawnee boy. Really appreciate the support, my man. And can't wait to hit the game with you, my man. I can't wait. It's going to be a right laugh. But Sean, Danny was also he was mentioning about Matt Doherty as left wing back. Do you want to see Conte's experiment come to an end now? Surely Ryan says Sean is fit.
Is that what it was? Was it an experiment or was it a message?
I know
That's what we call it, right?
Sean's coming back from injury. I mean, I just can't take it any longer.
No. Yeah, I think like it's clever scientists that call a fuck up an experiment, so they can avoid like any kind of accountability. Like you don't need to play. I mean, I get it. The only reason that would explain why you picked Doherty at left back when you had Sessegnon on the bench is if a legitimate reason is if you were holding out for the Chelsea game or the Leicester game that were coming up. For the Arsenal game that was cancelled. Sorry, it was for the Arsenal game. When he played us when he played Matt Doherty out there last time out, like it doesn't make any sense. The guy's useless. I can't understand for the life of me why any professional player who plays at the highest level of the game is so one-footed. Like I was saying this on the phone to Phil Latis earlier. Like there was a player, and I forget the name. Someone in the comments or someone in the panel might remind me. But there was a player in like the 60s, and I don't want to say it was George Best, but it was someone of that kind of ilk. And he was so one-footed that his coach turned around and said to him, you're not going to touch, like if say he's right-footed, you're not going to touch the ball with your right foot all week, all month, all whatever, right? If I see you in training ever touch the ball with your strong foot, you're going to run a lap of the field. And he became so good with his weaker foot that his weaker foot became his stronger foot as a consequence. I don't understand why I forget who that player was. Maybe someone will have heard that story before and can put a face to the story, but I don't understand why he's so bad. And if you are so bad, why put that person who is so bad with the one foot that you need to be strong in if you're going to play on the left? Doesn't make any sense at all. And if he does it again today, I don't know what's going on with Reguilon. I think, Jack, you were saying earlier that like if Hugo Lloris is out today, then maybe there's something going on. I think that was you said that, or someone said that earlier.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Like if Reguilon's out again today, because nobody, like we haven't really been informed of why Reguilon's been out. Like, and if there's truth, but he was fit. He came off. He was like, there was no noise about it. I haven't heard Conte mention it particularly. And then if there's any truth to the rumor that Brian Daigle was saying he left furious, if he's out for whatever reason, I just don't.
And do you know what, Sean?
There's no need to play. Sorry, you're gone.
No, you make a good point there about Reguilon, because look, Ben from We Are Tottenham TV was I was having the same talk with him there a couple of nights ago. Do you think there could be a rift between Reguilon and Conte?
Like it's every other injury under the sun is known about, is talked about. It's hot news, right? And this Reguilon thing, it came out of nowhere. Like he wasn't playing and no one knew why. And it was only afterwards it was like, oh, there's a niggle. But then he didn't play a second game. He didn't play a third game. It's weird. And if it was a niggle, it's not a 3-game. A 3-game isn't a niggle. An injury is a 3-game absent, or 2-game absence, 3-game absence. And I feel like you'd know more about it. There'd be more about it, but there's not. Yeah. It's kind of like it's been swept under the rug. So I do think there might be something to like maybe he's pissed off Conte in some regard and been dropped. But you know what?
I feel like we know more about Bergwijn's mysterious injury. Like in Bergwijn, I've always wondered, like, what is it? Is he like recovering from like, the stepping out of the Range Rover or something like that from last week? Like, I just don't really get it.
Yeah. He got partially blind.
He was going into Bergwijn's injury. He was going very deep into like what was causing Bergwijn the injury, what time he was coming back. You're exactly right. But when it came to Reguilon, he's just nothing.
Nothing at all. It's been like barely
conspiracy.
Mentioned. It's a bit of a conspiracy, and I am a tinfoil hat wearing type of guy. But I'm not wearing this. Underneath my...
I was going to say, it's all underneath. It's all underneath.
There's tinfoil throughout. But I do think there might be something to it. So if he's not playing tonight, there's definitely something that we need to think about there.
Good point.
But
yeah, I agree.
And Sessegnon is too vulnerable. Sessegnon's fragile. He seems like he plays and then he's out for another 6 months. He plays one game, he's out. I think Sessegnon has played well when he's played for us this season. But
yeah,
to answer your question directly, Dave, the experiment or cock up or whatever's going on with the Ben Doherty left wing back thing, it has to stop. It has to stop
Ben Doherty.
Now. Who did I say? Matt Doherty. Sorry, Ben Doherty. I'm rambling. Matt Doherty has to be removed. He has to be taken. He has to be put back on the bench at best. And we need a left wing back to play in the left wing back.
Sean,
we have two.
He needs to be made the garbage man at the training ground, mate. He needs to be made the garbage man, pick up the crap. Because that's what he deserves.
I think Ndombele deserves that. I think Ndombele, after he's finished doing his laps, Ndombele needs to pick up.
But Ndombele will just eat the rubbish from the floor. Like he'll see a bit of chocolate on the floor, and be like, "Oh, hello."
Yeah. So, Dave, I think there's something going on, but if it's an experiment, the experiment's not working. So pack it in, Antonio. Yeah. Pack it in.
Spot on. And guys, another player I want to get onto. I do have a couple more questions that I have about another 40 minutes left before I have to get over and start making my way over to We Are Tottenham TV. But another player I do want to get onto, and look, we've already spent a lot of time speaking about the defense, but look, we may as well talk about the right wing back situation. Yeah. Emerson Royale has been a controversial figure, but this feels like a match where he can really, prove his case. He would getting up wide, pinning their fullbacks back, and getting some good crosses into the box, because he will get space near the box. We've seen it time and time again. But his crosses have been a major weakness in his game. But he's definitely a good defender, in my opinion. Conte needs Royale to be both a reliable outlet and distributor for Conte's system to work. Can Emerson be the man to deliver in Conte's system? Or do we need to look elsewhere? or does he even have, or does he have everything we need? He just needs to work on that final ball. Jack, we'll go to you first and make our way around the panel again.
I think, I think there are two sides of the beautiful Emerson coin. There's one side where you look at it where with Antonio Conte's side, that is the part where he, as a wingback, if he were brought in during Antonio Conte's regime, let's say Antonio Conte started the season with us and we brought in Emerson, I'd be deeply, deeply frustrated with Emerson because he is not the sort of fullback that seems to fit Antonio Conte's style. But then you have to look at it. He was brought in for Nuno, or he was brought in for a back four. And Emerson has done that actually quite well. When the moment he came in, he came up against Wilfried Zaha with 10 men on the pitch. And I actually thought he did quite well in that fixture. And then you do feel like in the back four, where he's expected to basically be really good defensively, but also being able to go up and down the pitch, I think he's actually quite fantastic at that. And I would say something that maybe people haven't noticed about Emerson is that regardless of his end product, which is woeful, I'll be honest, it is woeful, that end product, you still have to give him credit, because I would say he has an actual motor. He has a real engine, a Kyle Walker kind of motor, where he's just up and down the pitch. He never seems to be too out of position. He's always seems to be able to pick up the ball on the right-hand side. He never seems to be like, it's not like you're ever waiting for Emerson to get there kind of thing with Doherty. It feels like with Doherty, we're always kind of waiting for him to get, up the pitch. He's taking so long to be able to drive up there, where it seems like Emerson, he's always just waiting for it. He's always able to get up and down, kind of like a big engine sort of like player. But then when you take it over to Antonio Conte's side of the coin, where it's just like, you need them to have good product. You need them to have good crosses into the box. You need them to be able to carry the ball into the box, kind of what like Lamptey does over at Brighton, where he's able to carry the ball into the box. He's able to kind of take on a man. Those kind of things with Emerson were just really lacking. But you have to then take the context of, we got him for back four to be a defensively solid right back under a very defensive manager in Nuno Espirito Santo. So if you're thinking about it in terms of signings during that era, I think it was a great signing. When it comes to Antonio Conte's system, which doesn't need the right wing back to be so defensive, they actually need them to be better going forward. He's really disappointing. Do we need someone else? I feel like we do, to challenge him, to get the best out of him. But to say that, he's just useless or he doesn't offer anything, I think is way too harsh. I feel like defensively, he's actually so far, logistically, statistically, seeing eye test, for me, I feel like all those factors, defensively, he's one of the best right backs, I would say, so far this season. But in terms of going forward, one of the worst I've seen so far this season. So kind of it's this two sides of a beautiful Emerson coin. But I don't know. That's just my take on it. I feel like we have to take into context, he was signed for a very defensive manager and a very defensive back four. And if you look at it under those metrics, he's actually doing quite well with what he was asked to do. And now he's being asked to do something entirely different, which is hard.
Spot on. And I'll just take these two super chats, and then we'll get Shawnee and Danny in. Sebas Wolf 28 says, guys, just wanted to say thanks to all of you for the great work you are all doing. I live in New York, and I love how you keep us foreign supporters well updated. Come on, you Spurs. Look, Sebas, I really appreciate it, my man. Look, we're just Spurs fans that just want to sit here and talk Spurs. We have no one else to talk Spurs with. So, the fact that we can all come together. Honestly, my missus isn't going to listen to me about that. She's not going to listen to me cry about Harry Kane at the start of the season. Where's my Harry gone? She's not going to listen to that. So, look, it's just comfort for all of us, my man. And I really appreciate that you and so many are enjoying it. And look, we can certainly be better as well. We're by no means done here improving. We're going to be 10 times better as well. So big up, Sebas Wolf. Really appreciate the compliments, my man. Jack, what do you want to say to one of your fellow New Yorkers?
Yeah, I was going to say Sebas as well. I'm over in the best borough in the world, over in Brooklyn. I think there's another one as well in the chat. If he's still there, G Lama or KG Lama as well, also from New York. It's good to see everybody, a lot of Spurs fans over in New York, which is beautiful to see. I would just say it's good to see that you're enjoying, kind of, a bit of the camaraderie, a bit of kind of the community over at the Irish Hotspur. I would just say you have a fellow New Yorker on this channel. So, you basically don't have to go anywhere else. You have a bit of a home comfort, a bit of kind of that, kind of a camaraderie with just ourselves. But let me know if you want to let me know what borough you're in, my man. Do let me know. If you don't, just plenty good to see that we have some fellow NYC guys in the chat tonight, as well as always with the Harris Army. Big up, Sebas. Really have appreciated the support, though. He's been given a lot of support over the last few months, it feels like, Sebas. So really just want to big yourself up as well, my man. But absolutely, live down in Brooklyn, brother.
Big up, Sebas. What a legend. What a legend. Ben Kaufman says, massive love to the Harris Army. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Ben, my man. I got to tune in for a little bit of your coffee stream, my man.
Yeah, same.
Absolutely brilliant. Anybody, guys, that does love a bit of coffee, get over to Ben. He'll run you through absolutely everything you need to know when it comes to coffee. He's an absolute expert. So big up, Ben, my man, and really appreciate the support. Over 413 in-house. Keep smashing that like buttons, guys. The big push for 250 likes on the stream is on. And keep smashing that subscribe button. Let's see if we can get to 5,400 before this stream ends in subscribers. We're on 5,368. So let's see if there's anyone out there that can smash that subscribe button. But look, Shawnee, Emerson, what is your thoughts?
Sean, before you answer that, do you mind if I go first? Because I actually need to shoot off. I've got to go into the office to drop off something, so I've got to go into London.
No, sorry, mate. I do mind. I very much.
You pipe down, you.
Go.
Yeah. So just basically echo everything Jack said. I mean, Jack just hit the nail on the head, right? Emerson was bought for a defensive manager for a defensive formation, and he's now playing with a manager who plays a completely different system with wing backs, and the wing backs are key to his system. So he's gone from doing what he was told to do, which is he was doing a very good job at it, to doing something completely different. Now, you also have to consider that this guy is 22 years old, right? He's coming from another league, right? This is his first season in the Premier League, and he's had two managers. One that's completely defensive with no tactics whatsoever, and one who's a tactical genius and plays a completely different system, right? So you have to give him the benefit of doubt. Like Jack said, he's very good defensively. Well, not very good, but he is very solid defensively. I like him defensively, but as we know, he couldn't hit a barge pole if he tried, right? He just can't. He's useless at crossing, and he cannot beat his man. He's terrible at it. Nice. So, and I think you've seen some of the training videos. They look like they're really trying to work on him in crossing in the training. So, yeah, I think what Conte wants another right wing back and have him as the project one, the one they work on to see if they can get anything out of him. Because if they don't, they'll just sell him on in a year or two's time, and they might lose maybe something, or they might get their money back. So I know it's not what we want to hear, but it's unfortunately that's the situation it is. It's Tottenham again doing their shitty managerial decisions when they should have hired Conte in the summer. So yeah, it kind of fucked up all our plans. So I think with Emerson, I think he's the right person for tonight. I don't want to see Doherty playing at right wing back, that's for sure. And I don't want to see Tanganga playing right wing back because he's useless at it. So Emerson is the only choice. And you just hope that we're going to start seeing a little bit of something from him. Just as long as you start seeing him taking on his man, being confident, it'll give you a bit more hope. But we haven't seen that kind of hope for us to say, oh, do you know what? He could be a good player. But you can see defensively he's good. For me, he's a raw player. He needs a lot of coaching, and people need to remember he's less than 3 months with Conte. Less than 3 months with one of the best coaches in the game. Give him a year to coach him. Give him a year of learning English, learning how the game is, maybe getting a bit more getting his stamina up even more. Wait till he has a Conte preseason. He hasn't had a Conte. None of the players have had a Conte preseason. Wait till we have a Conte preseason, see how they do and how they train in the summer. And I think then you'll start to see I think next season you'll see a better Emerson for sure. But yeah.
The guy, just quickly, Danny, the guy that everybody holds him up to is Kyle Walker. That's ideally where we want to get back to again. But Kyle Walker was loaned out at 22, which is Emerson's
I was just about to say, I was just about to say, you have to compare where Danny Rose and Kyle Walker were at 22. Emerson, like you said, Dave, you're spot on. He was loaned out and he had a whole season in the Premier League being a right back, right? But playing in a system and in a way that helped him develop his career into where we wanted him to be as a player. And if if they're going to go for another right wing back in the summer, which I don't think they will, because I think Emerson will be the backup, right? If we get Traore in, if we do, Traore will be the right wing back and Emerson will be the backup.
Yeah.
Because Traore offers, unfortunately, does offer more in terms of beating a player, causing more havoc,
what Conte
taking on
wants.
players, and he attracts players to him because he's so hard to stop. Right, so he will offer something a lot more and something different than what Emerson does. Because if you look at the way we play our football, how many times do we push the ball out to Emerson or the wing backs? Right, you see, when Reguilon was playing a little bit, he's kind of the player who's a bit further back, and he's the one who should be further forward because he's the one that's better at crossing. And then you see Emerson, like in the Southampton game, they were constantly peppering that ball to him, but he was just fucking useless at crossing it. So, yeah, I think Emerson is going to get better. He's young, he's a talent, he's raw, and yeah, and we just need to give him a chance. And I know it's the problem is Tottenham want instant results. Tottenham fans want instant success.
I felt that way
results,
after the Crystal
right?
Palace match. I've noticed, like,
Of
his first
course.
match, and he got
Yeah.
thrown into the deep end. And I actually thought he swam quite well when
Yeah.
thrown into the deep end against Wilfred Zaha with 10 men.
Yeah.
I actually thought he did quite well with that, and people
Brutal
immediately
debut.
already wrote him off and thought he wasn't good enough. And it's just kind of like, why are we expecting that we sign some like 28-year-old prime like Cafu or something like that? That's what it
exactly.
feels like.
I think we're not buying Cancelo, like in prime Cancelo or someone like that. Do you know, a £50 million right back? That's just unfortunately not how Tottenham do things.
He wasn't cheap though, mate. He wasn't cheap.
No, he was £22 million. He wasn't cheap, right? He
Yeah.
he wasn't cheap. I agree, he wasn't cheap. But that, in a way, you can say £22 million is kind of your average rate for a player
Yeah,
now.
No,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
less than
right?
Bergwijn.
Yeah.
20
million is kind of your going rate if you want to get a fairly decent player nowadays.
Yeah, it
you
is.
just can't. It's gone are the days where you
Average,
get 10.
isn't it?
Yeah,
20 million is the average price for
Yeah.
an average Premier League average player.
Yeah. It's sad, isn't it? It's sad.
20
But-
bar,
but
bar, and you get the
Yeah.
bare average.
Exactly. But look,
Yeah.
if Emerson was to get, Emerson is playing a lot of Premier League football, so I don't think it's not the football that he needs more football time, because he's playing every match basically. He just needs to get used to this, just the life and the way it is at Spurs, the system he's playing, because he hasn't been asked to play a right wing back before. He's never played right wing back. When he was at Real Betis, he was playing as a right back. When he was at Tottenham, he was playing as a right back before, right? So he's not used to it. So and even Barcelona, I know he didn't play for them, but Barcelona brought him in to be a right back, not a right wing back. So he has to be given time to adapt to this position, because how many times? Look, let me give you an example. Gareth Bale. He was a left back when he first came to Tottenham, and he was playing as a left wing back, right? How many years did it take Bale to turn into a left midfielder and then become one of the best players on the planet?
2 years,
right?
2 years.
It took years, exactly, right? So Bale wasn't the greatest left back either. He was pretty awful, to be honest with you. He was a much more attacking player, and we could see that in his game early on. But this is what I'm saying. Bale, even at an early age, he was a shocking left back. I know he was better at crossing and stuff, but as a left back, he was awful. So you have to give these youngsters time, especially in the most difficult league in the world. So I think Emerson. I always believe Emerson will come good. I think he will come good.
Spot on. And look, Danny, just before we let you go, my man, where can people find you?
Yeah, so you can find me. I mean, like I always say, after work I will be on the street corner in central London somewhere. So I'll share my location later on. I'll have my Tottenham shirt on. You'll see it. But yeah, no, you can find me. You can find me on Tottenham on Tour on YouTube. So if you go to YouTube, please hit a subscribe. We've got a lot planned. We've got another show, I believe, on Friday, which these two beautiful men should be joining. I hope they should be joining anyway. We're going to have some more live feed from Mr. Daigle himself at the training ground. So but we've got a lot planned. By the way. Oh yeah. Well, you can pop along, mate. You can pop along. But
I let you go before me, and I don't even get an invite. It's all good. We're joking.
But no. But look, you know, you can find me there. You can find me, Adam Clark, Brian Daigle, and Brian Island there. And we've got the mental health stream coming up very soon as well. We're just getting the confirmation on the date, and then we're gonna bring out the date and the news for that. So that's gonna be good. And we will have another special show hopefully in the next month or so. So it's going to be a big show, and I'm not going to say any more on it, but it's going to be a very, very, very special show to everyone in the YouTube community. And and also we're gonna have we've got a lot of collaborations with these beautiful guys above us, Dave and Jack in the Irish Hotspur. So we're going to see more shows of that, and we're going to be doing some collaboration with We Are Tottenham TV. So watch out for that. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And also, before I go, if you haven't subscribed, if anyone who hasn't subscribed to watching, whoever's watching right now, please subscribe to the Irish Hotspur and Spurs Talk Show. Please, because they are brilliant channels, and you need to go. Yeah, and the flat cap. Yeah, I know. And flat cap Euro Talk as well, because they are all unique in their own ways. They're all brilliant, and you get to see more of these brilliant guys talking Spurs and talking tactics and everything else. So please do that. All right. And
love you,
peace out. And I'll do this for Brian. I love you guys. Levy out.
Well done. Well done.
Danny. Love you, mate.
See you later, guys.
See you, man. Thanks for your time, brother. Really appreciate it. Big up, Danny, guys. Absolute legend. But look, Shawnee, we'll get your thoughts on Emerson before we take Tim Man 007's very generous super chat.
Yeah, so I agree with everything Jack said. Got to give the guy time. I agree with Danny's sentiments as well entirely. The other things I want to add to it, I don't want to disagree. I actually want to add or develop the answer a little bit. So I think that so two things I want to say. One is that just looking at Emerson Royale personally, I think he would fit a 3-4-3 better than a 3-5-2. With a 3-4-3 where you've got like a narrow front three, I think there's a little bit less offensive necessity for Emerson Royale, right? If it's not his strongest point, then let's not, like, whilst he's developing that side of his game, he does need the time. We need to give him patience to adapt to life in London, adapt to the Premier League pace, adapt to the language, adapt to Conte, adapt to the fact that he was a right back. Now we need him as a right wing back. All of those things take time. But in a 3-5-2, the responsibility on the right wing back to play offensively is far higher than it is in a 3-4-3 with a narrow or a broad front three. Yeah. So I think that Emerson Royale is a better suit for a 3-4-3 than he is a 3-5-2. Just for that reason, he can focus more on what he does well whilst he's learning. Yeah. The other thing I would say, though, is why we need to be patient with him is because, you know, if the rumors are true, if we are going to sign anybody in January and that one person is Adama, you know, I personally, whilst I don't mind the signing of Adama, I like him as an option off the bench. I think he'll terrify players, and there's lots of reasons. We spoke about this on previous streams, boys. Yeah. You know, to you know, the nth degree where we know the value that he brings, but he has zero experience playing in a right wing back role, right? So he doesn't know how to defend. This is Adama I'm talking about, and also I'm terrified about the guy's physicality. I don't think he's a sprinter. I don't know if he's going to be able to play that role for 90 minutes. And so
get up and down like that. Yeah.
Certainly not. He might need to shrink down a little bit. He might need to and this is going to take time. It will take time for him to learn how to play the right wing back role. And B, even whilst he's learning it, I don't know, even if he knew how to play it, I don't think he could sustain the stamina pelting back and forth that a right wing back role dictates. And, you know, and to your point, Jack, Emerson Royale has stamina for days. He's pacey, he's lanky, he's tall. He does offer the physical attributes that I want to see in a right wing back. The only thing that's missing is his ability to cross, right? Yeah, and that's something huge. That it's massively important, but that there is time he could learn that. He's only 22. Adama doesn't have a lot of the things that, you know, that Royale's missing. Adama's also missing, but I worry about the physicality, that the pressure on Adama to be able to run up and down. So when
or two players that aren't comfortable at the right wing back position, technically, that we'd be
right. Yeah. Well. So when we're talking about is Emerson Royale fit for purpose? Personally, I agree with you, both of you, that saying, you know, let's give him time, let's let him adapt. There's all those things that he's got to have patience. We have to have patience with him so that he can learn how to do. And I think he'll figure it out. I also think whenever you're talking about replacing somebody, or is someone not good enough to be in the role, you have to also consider, well, if he's not in the position, who is in the position? And the only person that we have currently on our radar that we're going to sign is someone that I don't think is going to fit the position very well either, and will need 6 months worth of training at least to be able to adapt, not just to learn, but also to shrink his physical, attributes to become more stamina based. So I'm all about, and actually, guys, for what it's worth, at the very start of Emerson Royale's career, I was the person who was very vocal saying, I don't think he's got it. I was negative on him for the first 2 months. But actually, over time, I'm actually learning, he's growing on me. When other people that were more positive about him at the start, and now they're seeing the weaknesses, I'm actually seeing him in a more positive light.
We've all traded sides.
It's weird, We're meeting in the middle, but we kind of started here, and there we go. That's my take on him. I think a 3-5-2 is a 3-4-3 is a better suit for him than a 3-5-2.
Great points. Great points, guys. Very good luck. I didn't think the Emerson conversation would go on for that long. Absolutely love it. Everyone feeling strongly on Emerson. It's good to see. It's good to see. Tim Man 007, big yourself up, my man. I hope you are keeping well. Long time no see. He says, big up to you guys. And extremely happy Bob Spurs. Oh, well, 100%, my man. We're absolutely delighted. And he popped in the chat earlier on. It was great to see. He says, if I was Levy, I would go all out and secure Vlahovic now for the summer. Look, just on that quickly, I woke up this morning to Football London reporting that Arsenal put in their first bid. I'm not sure how true it is, not sure how accurate it is. Hopefully that is not the case. But yeah, look, I mean, I've said this when it comes to Vlahovic, Tim, man, I think you have Haaland, you have Harry Kane, you have Vlahovic. Obviously, you have Lewandowski there as well. But look, if you buy a Vlahovic now, his price is only going to go like Haaland's did. You buy him now, it's going to go up and up and up. Eventually be worth about 200 million. The guy is absolutely lethal in front of goals. He's an absolute specimen of an athlete as well. The size of him, the power. He has a bit of pace. He's good in the air. I really, really like this kid. And for me, I definitely think we should be trying to get our claws into him and tempt him over to Tottenham. And I mean, it doesn't even have to come in as backup. You can change the system. Go 3-5-2, which is what Conte played at Inter, and it might suit him. You can play the two of them up top together. And he also says, buy a creative player along with a centre-back, massive rebuild needed. On this creative player, Tim, man, I don't know about you, but for me, I want a deep, Conte doesn't really like playing cams, centre attacking defenders. So for me, it has to be a deep line playmaker. Someone like a Michael Carrick, someone like Luka Modric, like what he does now, where he gets on the ball deep, sprays it left, sprays it right, is comfortable on the ball, can take it under pressure, and essentially alleviate the pressure, beat the press. And that's what we need in this midfield. It's glaringly obvious. And look, a centre-back would be nice, Tim Man 007, but I put it out there yesterday. I mean, there was that youngster, Lusala, and Munir as well, brought up from the under-23s, now training with the first team. One's a centre-back, one's a right-back. Now, the right-back is very, very highly talked about, but the centre-back being brought up as well. And to me, I just feel like that we're not going to be buying in them positions this January transfer window, and that they're being trained and they're training with the first team because they're going to be just because I think Conte probably has looked at them, pulled them up, says, right, these are the ones I'm going to develop and I'm going to use if we come across an injury crisis or a COVID crisis or whatever it may be. So I wouldn't be surprised to see if we didn't sign anyone in them positions, to be honest with you. Look, don't get me wrong. I know under 23s are always pulled in with the senior team to train and stuff like that. But, I mean, it's just my opinion. I don't know whether people agree, disagree, but let me know. But big up to him, man. I really, really appreciate the support, my man. And TJ Lewis says Tariq Lamptey would be a great answer to this wing-back issue. We slapped up Chelsea last night. Big up, fellas. Come on, you Spurs. TJ Lewis, look, I like Lamptey. I mean, he's quick, he's good on the ball, and he can alleviate a lot of pressure. But when it comes to, he's too small. That's it. For me, he is very small. Like, if you're going to have him there, then you need three absolute savages in centre-back. But as well, it's his price. It's the price, 50 million. Yeah. We're not stumping that up. No way. If this guy was playing in Germany or La Liga, he'd be about 30 million. But because every club needs English players to be able to get onto their on their books to register the squads for the Premier League and stuff like that. It comes with a tax. And for me, I just do not see us stumping up that sort of money. If we ever do go for Tariq Lamptey, it has to be a case where he has a year maybe left on his contract.
Yeah.
His price is devalued, and maybe you can get him that way. But I tell you now, I mean, we got 50 million for Kyle Walker. We didn't slap 50 million on the right fullback then to come in and be his replacement. We're definitely not going to do it now, in my opinion, TJ Lewis.
Yeah.
But I do like where your head's at. But TJ Lewis, do what Levy does. Take Tariq Lamptey, take all of his attributes, put them into a computer, and go and find someone from the Montenegro division. You know, that's what will happen, my man. But big up TJ Lewis. Big up, my man. Really appreciate support. And same as you, Tim, man. Everybody over 420 in house, keep smashing that like button. Keep smashing that subscribe button, guys. And feel free to keep getting the super chats in and help support the channel. And great talking points as well. Just quickly, Jack, we'll let you in on Tim Man's super chat, and then we'll let Shawnee in on a Tariq Lamptey one. Or do you want to do it vice versa?
I can do it really quickly on both, Dave. For me, Tin Man, I've said this 1,000 times. If I were to spend 70 million on a player, like some ridiculous fee on a player, it would actually be in the central midfield sort of area. It could be exactly what David was talking about, a kind of a creative holding midfielder or just a box-to-box player. I just want to spend the big bucks on a really quality midfielder instead of other areas of the pitch. That's just me personally. I agree we need a center back, and I agree we need a striker, but that's personally where I would spend the big bucks. If I had to spend the Vlahovic money, I understand Vlahovic is the next big thing, but personally, I feel like we do need more of a world-class midfielder than we do another world-class striker. That's just my personal belief. And then on Tariq Lamptey, I agree with Sean. Not very tall, not very great defensively, and so could be found out. But I think he would be a great alternative to Emerson because we're talking about someone who then is really strong defensively when we need to be more defensive in this sort of kind of wing back. And then we also have someone who's really good going forward, who maybe is a bit more suspect defensively. And I think that's the perfect sort of like kind of combo, perfect sort of options to go with. I would say as well with Lamptey quickly, a really good ball carrier. I think that's one of his best kind of attributes is he's really good at ball carrying. He's really good at progressing up the pitch. So I personally would take him, but yeah, way too much money at the same time. I feel like it'd be like a Ben Chilwell situation where you're just paying like overpaying for him. And in fact, you know, you're not getting a deal out of it. We all know that isn't Tottenham Hotspur.
No, spot on. Spot on. Big up everybody and big up Jack for answering them as well. Shawnee, back to you, my man. I mean, Spurs have a spectacular win percentage. And guys, I'm going to give you one each if you don't mind, because
Sure.
I'm starting to get pressed for time. But Sean, Spurs have a spectacular win percentage when Skippy starts versus when he doesn't. Should Skippy start this match? And alongside who? For me, certainly away from home, I would be putting in Skip and Højbjerg as my partnership. I just feel like we need that steal and that work rate in midfield. But Shawnee, I mean, would you maybe place Winston beside Skippy, or who do you want to see partner Skippy, or who do you want to see in midfield today even?
So it depends. It's a great question, mate. It depends on the formation that he goes with. I would like him to go with the 4-3-3 tonight. Personally, I think it will suit us better. And if you are going to go with a 3-4-3, and if you are going to do a 3-4-3, then I think that Skippy and Højbjerg are probably are the necessary two that will be in the center. I do want to see Skippy and Winks though at some point. I do, but I don't think tonight is the night to trial it. I'd like to see that trialed against Southampton not Southampton, sorry, maybe Everton coming up, or whether it's against Wolves at home. Like there's a couple of games coming up where I think that there's a better chance to, or even Brighton in the cup. Right? I think I'd like to see Skippy and Winks trialed without Højbjerg. We haven't seen a lot of it, but not tonight. I think I agree with you, Dave. I think that I'd like to see Højbjerg and Skippy together in a 4-3-3. I'd actually prefer to see Brian Hill play up front tonight. I think he can. I think he'll have a lot of success against a relatively weakened Leicester side. I want to see what he can do. I haven't seen enough of the guy. I haven't seen him play. I think he's shown enough promise to me where, given that he plays in a specific role that is usually dominated by Sonny, if Sonny's out for 6 weeks, there isn't going to be a better time to see what he can do in a game. And I feel like he's a sort of player that will grab the ball by the horns and really show that he's got fight desire, determination. He's definitely got the skill. I know he needs to put on weight and stuff. I don't want to take this conversation off on a tangent about Hill, but to my point, tonight I don't think is the night to see Winks and Skippy. I do want to see it at some point. So I think tonight Højbjerg and Skippy, but I want to see a 3-4-3, and I want to see Brian Hill get his Premier League debut. I think it'll be his Premier League debut.
Yeah, starting debut.
Yeah, starting debut, and I want to see that in a 3-4-3 role. I think he'll really enjoy the experience and do well this evening.
I love it, Shani. Good answer, my man. And getting Gil Messi in there. I mean,
Hildrick.
Where everyone puts all the Gil names in. I mean, feel free. Gil Messi, Gildinho, put them all in. It winds people up, and I love it. So do put them in there. Dark Sun G says, if we can't beat an injured Leicester, no top 4 for us, Jack.
Yeah, to be fair, Dark Sun G, they do have a heap of injuries, but what's actually quite scary, I must say, is that they have so many injuries. They have so many players missing with AFCON, and you still kind of look at that team and you're like, that's still not a bad team. And I think that just speaks to the squad depth that Leicester have in comparison to our squad depth, which is actually quite shocking, I would say, Dark Sun G. But as well, their front 3 or front 4, whatever you want to call it, it's still kind of their starting front 4, because Jamie Vardy, he started the season strong, but Patson Daka, even when Jamie Vardy wasn't hurt, Patson Daka has started games ahead of him. They are kind of competing for each other with that spot. So it is still, Ademola Lookman, it's still James Maddison, it's still Harvey Barnes, and it's still a top striker up top as well. So the attack hasn't been hurt too much, I would say, Dark Sun G. So maybe I'm, coming up with so many excuses for the squad already. But Dark Sun G, I do agree. This is a must win. This is a must win. Big yourself up.
Big up, Dark Sun G, my man. Really appreciate support. And it's good to see you in the chat, my man. It's good to see you, Dark Sun G. What a man. Jack, with Son out injured, it remains to be seen what way Conte will set his team up formation-wise. I think every Spurs fan's eyes will be on it, because this will probably be the formation we'll use until Sonny's back. He did opt for a 3-4-3 on many occasions this season, but against Chelsea, Conte set up as a 3-5-2. Do you think with the return of maybe Bergwijn today, or Gil, that we could see a 3-4-3 today again?
I feel like we've had our better games in a 3-4-3. Apart from the 3-5-2 we've done against Leicester, we've had better games in a 3-4-3. I know people think the midfield is more open. I know people kind of think, it kind of midfield gets bypassed more. I completely understand that argument. I think it's true. But at the same time, we seem to be a lot better going forward with the 3-4-3, which just makes sense. I mean, we broke it down, a long time ago, Dave, on that tactic show as to why that 3-4-3 does actually work, because the wingers almost play like inside number 10s. But I personally would go for the 3-4-3 in this one, especially because Leicester City, they are a very leaky defense. And if we put them under more pressure and we're not passing it around them as much, we're kind of trying to play through the middle, try to play through them, especially Vestergaard there. If you put 2 pacey wingers near Vestergaard, the likes of Steven Bergwijn or Brian Hill and Lucas Moura and Harry Kane, that kind of trio, that combination could cause players like Vestergaard a bit of trouble. It could also cause that midfield that's not very strong defensively a bit of trouble as well. I think the 3-4-3 is well suited. I actually could pick between Steven Bergwijn and Brian Hill. I want Steven Bergwijn to prove me wrong. So I'd be happy to see him there to see if he can prove me wrong. I'd rather see Brian Hill because I think he's a bit better creator than Steven Bergwijn is. But I think the 3-4-3 could suit us a whole lot better for this one, Dave. I actually feel like it is sometimes our stronger formation going forward and maybe going away from home as well. I'd like to see us maybe kind of, threaten teams a bit more. We already spoke about that, of course, before, but I don't know, Dave. The 3-4-3, I think, suits it. And I think Bergwijn wouldn't be the best replacement for Sonny. Neither would Hill, but maybe they could offer that creativity that we get out of that 3-4-3.
Yeah, and look, it'd be very interesting to see what way he steps up today. If he does go with the 3-5-2, he obviously wants to get an extra body in the midfield, and he believes, if that's the case, I believe that he believes Leicester can hurt us today. If he goes a 3-4-3, I reckon he fancies it. But well broken down, Jacko. Very well broken down, my man. Good. That's why we call you the tactical guru. Two more. I have 2 questions on Leicester, and then one last one I want to ask you is will we get top 4? And so, Sean, we'll go to you first. The Foxes have let in 33 Premier League goals this season, more than any other side in the top half of the table. They have conceded an unrivaled 16 times from a set piece situation. Now, we know Conte loves different set piece routines, which was most evident versus Norwich, versus Brentford. Is this a key area Conte would have identified that can win us this game today?
Good question.
It's a great question, mate. And I would say, yeah. I'd say you hope so, right? Who knows? I would imagine that Conte and his team of coaches are all about that. Like, they've identified where the weaknesses are. But I think it's also worth pointing out that the team we're playing against tonight is not going to look very similar to the team that, I mean, Leicester last played in. Am I right in thinking this is their first game in the Premier League since, in almost a month, right? So,
I think they played on the 8th. They played on the 8th.
In the Premier League?
No,
yes, in the Premier League.
Is it?
Yeah, I'll check. But I think it was against.
I thought it was their first game in the Premier League this season. Or this year.
So I'm not lying, but they did have. Oh, you're right. FA Cup match. It was an FA Cup match. Spot on, Dave. Well said. Don't doubt the host. Sorry, everybody. What am I listening?
No, the only reason I say that is because I read it yesterday when I was putting together this preview. That was
Sorry, Shawnee. Go on.
No. It's a really tough question to answer because I don't know what Leicester team is going to be put out tonight, and I don't know if I'll have seen the same Leicester team tonight that's been put out against in recent times. Similar to the West Ham game. When we previewed the West Ham game that Tottenham played in the Cup, we were thinking that, if you remember, guys, West Ham weren't going to have the same aerial strength. They weren't going to be as good from set pieces as they had been when they scored like 27 goals or whatever it was, and most of them were from set pieces. And whilst that turned out to be true to a degree, like I forget the guy, the 6'3", what's the guy's name? Souček, right? Like he was just heading balls at the back post for days, and so it's difficult to predict what's going to happen. You look at formations, you look at strategies, you look at statistics, and say, well, this is their form, so therefore this should be the case. But if a team's different, then maybe they're not going to be as good in that department. And then whatever happens on the night happens on the night. And so I'd hope that Antonio Conte, to answer your question, I don't know, but I'd hope that Antonio Conte has identified the weaknesses within their team. And if set pieces are one of those things, then, maybe, is it Darkson G who wants to bet on Sanchez to score? Who was the guy?
Oh, no,
Moondog. I took a look earlier, Moondog. You can get 59-1 on Sanchez to score the first goal on Betfair. So if you do want a couple of quid, I put a couple of quid on. When you told me that, I put a couple of quid on Sanchez to score. But listen, I don't know whether set pieces. I mean, Tottenham don't do very well from, like, if we're thinking Leicester are weak from set pieces, Tottenham aren't strong from set pieces, especially if Lo Celso's playing. We don't even get it in the air. So, it's it might be a moot point,
That's true. It was a good question until Sean completely decimated it there.
Lo Celso's the set piece kryptonite. He's the set piece kryptonite. Oh,
Stu, my man, honestly, we talk about this all the time. All the time we talk about this over here, about slow starts, doing stuff at walking pace, especially during the watch alongs, because it drives my nut in, my man. It drives me crazy. But great answer, Shawnee. Great answer, man.
Sorry, man. It is a good question. I just don't know what the answer is.
No, but look, I love the answer. I absolutely love it. Even to the West Ham one, where we were thinking that we weren't going to be in as much trouble from set pieces, and they dominated from them. So you raised
smashed us in the air, didn't they? They smashed us, yeah. So,
yeah, they did, anyway. And their set piece taker Ryan Cresswell was out, along with a couple of others that helped achieve that stat. So you raised some great points, Shawnee. Jack. Kasper Schmeichel concedes 1.83 goals per 90 in the Premier League and has a post-shot expected goal of 27.7, when in fact he has conceded 33 goals so far this season in the Premier League. This means that Schmeichel has conceded at least 6 goals this season that he should have saved. Do you think he's a keeper we can target, and how do we target exploit a goalkeeper?
Yes, he is a target. Yes, he is a keeper we can target. He's having probably one of the worst goalkeeping displays this so far in his career, at least in the Premier League. This is, I think, been statistically his worst season. How do you target maybe someone that is, probably you can take advantage of in goals? I think Dave, who probably has a much better shot from distance than me, could probably answer this question a bit better. But I don't know, Dave. I think maybe the answer is just you can be a bit more selfish in front of goal, I think is what it is. Like you can find yourself where you don't have to always create the perfect chance. If you do back yourself to be able to hit a shot from distance, aka Harry Kane the long shot, he should be able to, bury one probably from distance against Kasper Schmeichel. I think also Kasper Schmeichel has conceded as well, obviously a lot of goals from corners. But that's also some of those goals that he's conceded from corners, Dave. Apparently a lot of those he should have saved as well. So you just think about it. I think you just put a lot of pressure on him. You have some shots from distance. Maybe you just see a kind of a sliver of kind of a gap in between the defense. Might as well go for it. See if, Kasper can save it. I think he has his great moments. Schmeichel is a goalkeeper. It's not like I would say he's like a Kepa or a Galini or anything, but I feel like he is having a pretty poor season. He's probably actually not, full of confidence as he maybe normally is, behind the sticks. So I would say, Dave, I can't really answer this probably as well as you could. But I feel like you do just have a bit more bravery, a bit more selfishness. You have a bit more shots from distance, and as well as you just maybe test them a bit more than maybe you normally would.
Do you know what? When I was reading that stat, Jack, and it's one that you brought up, which is a great stat, by the way. My thinking is a keeper like him wants time to settle, so shoot early. Shoot when he's not expecting you to shoot. He wants time to adjust the feet, get down and dive. So shoot early. Shoot when he's adjusting himself, and you will catch him. That's what it seems like to me,
I kind of agree with that. I mean, I think you would have a better opinion on it, like I said, Dave, than I would. But I think you just probably, like you said, maybe just take advantage of, maybe don't let him get through the motions. Don't shoot it when he expects it. Maybe shoot it, a bit off balance. Maybe just shoot it when maybe players normally wouldn't. And maybe that connects to what I also said, Dave, where just be a bit more selfish in front of goal. I feel like actually players like, in fact, if Steven Bergwijn plays today, someone who I think is extremely unselfish in front of goal at times, Steven Bergwijn, he should actually take a bit more shots. Lucas Moura, who has a good shot on him at times, he should take more shots. And we all know Harry Kane will, but I feel like that's what could help is maybe players like a Steven Bergwijn, who sometimes really lack confidence in front of goal, just have a bit more selfishness, just be a bit more kind of brave, just, think for yourself sometimes a bit more. And I feel like that can maybe help us. But I agree with you, Dave, actually, maybe shoot it when maybe the keeper doesn't expect it. And that could also help it as well.
Jack, I so agree with you, mate, about Bergwijn. Like Lucas Moura, it took Lucas Moura 2.5 years to be confident enough to shoot. He did it out of nowhere in the Ajax game, and then spent another 2.5 years being unconfident again. Yeah. And he's starting to believe in himself. And I hope that Bergwijn or Hill or whoever. Actually, I don't think Hill's had a couple of cracks, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has a crack.
Very good shot.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, he hit the bar in the Conference League. I think I'd love to see him get a goal tonight as well. That would do him the world of good. But yeah, I agree with you, Jack. Bergwijn needs to feel confident enough to take it on.
No, spot on, boys. And look, last question, guys, and we'll just get your quick answers, and because I want to give you time to plug yourself before we do end off. And it is a win for Spurs would see us leapfrog Arsenal into 5th and leave us just a point behind West Ham United, who are in 4th. And Spurs come into this week with 18 matches played, at least 3 fewer than everyone else. Tottenham, Arsenal, West Ham, and United are all vying for this top 4 spot. Do you think we will finish top 4?
Yeah. Can I go first?
Yeah, you go first, Sean. It's scary.
I've had bets. I'm that confident. I've had bets with people on WhatsApp chats. I've had a bet with Brian Daigle. I think I've had a bet with Brains. I bet we'd finish above Arsenal for 50 for some money, and I bet we'd finish top 4, regardless of what else happens with January. The money's all going to charities and stuff, so it doesn't matter either way. But it's all in the positive. I want to be glass half full. I want everyone to think we can do it. And tonight is a key game. I didn't think back in December that Leicester, this game tonight or this game then, that should have been would be that pivotal, because at the time Leicester were like 16th, 15th in the league. They're really struggling, and Tottenham, we're trying to figure ourselves out. at the time. I didn't think it would make that much of a difference. But tonight, given where we are, how close we are, all the games that have been postponed, you know, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush until you've got three in the hand. And that's what we get tonight if we smash Leicester. And I just want to throw one more phrase out there that I love saying is you can't run with the foxes and hunt with the hounds. You can't do that. And tonight we're not running with the foxes, people. We're going to hunt them down with the dogs that they are. And we're going to get 3 points. And then we're absolutely going to get top 4. It's so important. It's a statement. If we win tonight, not only do we go above West Ham, above Arsenal, we're right there behind West Ham with all the games in hand. And because the tough game against Arsenal, etc., put back a little bit, I know that Chelsea on the weekend is going to be tough. But after that, we've got, we're back to playing some teams that we should be able to win. Yeah. So it's so important. If we lose tonight, it's going to derail our momentum, derail our energy. If we win tonight, it's on like Donkey Kong. And I think they're going to do it. So
absolutely.
Hopefully Dave rolls in with the big fur coat and he says it's not foe, it's fox.
You gotta love it. You gotta love it. But Shawnee, before we move on to Jack, man, the link for your channel is here in the chat. Tell people why they should get over and subscribe.
Me?
Yeah.
Sorry. Yourself on that.
I know about me. I'm irrelevant. No, I'm at Spurs Talk Show. All one word. The link's in the chat. I'm at 193 now, so I'm 7 away from 200. I'd love it if I could get myself to 200 before, I don't know, a couple of weeks or something. So if anyone hasn't, on my channel, I'm kind of like fiddling in some live streams as and when I can, when other people aren't doing theirs. But I do have intentions to. I've got some ideas out there with some interesting people that are scouts, that are coaches for Premier League teams. And obviously, I'm going to be doing massive reviews of the financial fair play stuff when those rules come out. So the stuff that I want to do on my content is not about defending Daniel Levy. It's not about that stuff. I know I have to go into that path a little bit, but it's not where I want to spend my time. I want to spend my time trying to educate people on, off the pitch stuff. That's where I think, I think there's insights there, and it's interesting. It's entertaining. And hopefully if you find it on my channel, you'll find it engaging as well. So Spurs Talk Show, I'd love it if anybody who hasn't already could subscribe. But either way, you also find me here very often, and you find me on Tottenham Tantrum Gold as well.
I can just confirm, Shawnee, you're at 200 subs now, so big up the Irish Army.
Thank you, boys and girls.
The power of the Harris Army.
Yeah.
Amazing.
If there's any more, do get over there. I mean, 210 is also another target we can hit. But Jack, for yourself, do you think we can get top 4? And then where can people find you, my man?
Yes, right now, yes, but I don't know. I keep changing that answer every day. I'm not the most confident man in the building when it comes to that answer. I really am not. So I'm going to be honest with myself. But Dave, I definitely feel like we're getting top 5. I feel like there's no chance we're slipping below top 6. So that could mean then Europa League, which I feel like I'm actually quite happy with. I do like the Europa League, and I think that would be our level. But as well, Dave, everybody can find me over on the second channel, Flat Cap Euro Talk. We've been talking a lot about, getting that right wing back that can actually compete with Emerson. We've been talking about signing that beautiful central midfielder, like a holding midfielder that Dave's been talking about. We've also been, speaking about maybe new center backs, maybe as well, maybe a striker that we should bring in. If you like talking about fixing Tottenham Hotspur, if you like talking about how maybe, Levy could get the best bang for his buck, when it comes to bringing players in, not overpaying for players, if you like to think about just basically, what areas of the pitch that we feel like we need improvement, and maybe a few players that outside the Premier League that have caught your eye that you feel like Spurs should take a look at, if all that kind of, sounds familiar, if all that kind of, rings a bell to you, if all that sounds interesting to you, feel free to head on over to the second channel, Flat Cap Euro Talk, please.
No. There you have it, guys. And awesome. Here is the link here in the description as well. Simply just get on over there, smash that subscribe button. We are on the big push for 600 subscribers over there. Let's see if...
already over 600, I think. So
come on.
The road's on to 700. The road's on to 700.
Let's do it. Road to 700 is on, Jacko.
Absolutely love it. Really do appreciate the Harris Army. Really do appreciate the Irish Hotspur Army for getting me there. It's been a blast making those videos. So if you do enjoy, kind of just talking about players that maybe Spurs are linked with, as well as I feel like players that should come over to Spurs, is also just a bit of European football kind of, appreciation. If you're a bit of kind of a football nerd like myself, I would say you really will enjoy that channel. Also, it comes from a fellow Spurs fan, which is always a trusted source.
No, absolutely love it. Well, look, I'm off to listen to Who Let the Dogs Out, but I'm going to change the word dogs to hounds, and I'm going to answer it every single time. Every time it's like, who let the dogs out? I'm going to be like, Conte did. Absolutely love it. Conte, it's time to release the hounds. Let's attack the foxes, and let's fucking get the 3 points. Come on, you Spurs.
Boys.
In Conte we trust.
In Conte we trust. Come on, the boys.
I'll leave you open that wallet.